After experiencing a change, while reminiscing about My Little Pony with his mother, he miraculously crossed over to the world of ponies, becoming a young foal who was taken as a student by the cosmic princess and possessed magical talents. Chapter 1. Change and Crossing Over. Bang! As the rusty security door was forcefully pushed open, a young man tightly clutching a small box entered the tiny rental apartment, looking lost and disheveled. The small light bulb gradually brightened. It wasn't very bright, but just enough to illuminate the room. He placed the box on the dining table, took a dry towel, and began to wipe the box, ignoring his damp hair. Only after he could no longer see the box did he slump down onto the table, softly sobbing. The heavy rain had not only soaked his clothes, but had also drenched his heart. ManeSix, who had never seen his biological parents since birth, was raised by a woman who loved music, who named him ManeSix. She had once held him and sung to him, but now he could only hold onto her memory and cry. ManeSix felt lost. He had worked hard for 25 years so that his mother could live a good life, in his imagination, he would bring his mother to the house for which they had just paid the down payment, buy a vehicle for transportation, so she wouldn't have to toil for him daily and could pursue her beloved dreams again. He could find a beloved girl under his mother's singing blessings, step into the hall of marriage, and create a family that included more than just the two of them, living well with his mother. Slowly, ManeSix could no longer suppress the long-lasting fatigue brought by sorrow and could not care for his increasingly damp and cold body. He fell asleep on the table. The next day, ManeSix was awakened by the direct sunlight that a night of rain had left him feeling somewhat under the weather. But luckily it was summer even with the rain. The main tone was still warm and humid, making it not too chilly. Overnight, did I really hope this is a nightmare? ManeSix murmured. Suddenly, there was a knocking sound at the door. ManeSix struggled to get up and open the door. A woman in her 60s appeared at the door. Liantly, ManeSix called out. Antly was their landlord and one of the few people who had been kind to them. Seeing ManeSix's white hair and tear-streaked face from a night of sorrow, Antly cursed the cruel world that had persecuted this mother and son. Cien, I have some extra fruit. Take it. You don't need to rush to clean up the stuff in the house. You can leave it. This house isn't very. Thank you, Antly. Hey, raise 50,000 yuan. It's all I can offer, and it should be enough to get some new furniture so you can rent the house out again. ManeSix took out a stack of money from his pocket. No, it can't be like this. How can Antly take your money? I've watched you grow up. If your mother had known it would come to this, I wouldn't have. Antly couldn't help but shed tears as she spoke. For many years, she had hoped to help this mother and son, but she never expected that when the child could finally care for the mother, he would no longer be able to repay her kindness. She did not accept the money and hurriedly left the building. Thank you, Antly, ManeSix said, tears in his eyes as he watched her leave. After the sunlight entered the rental apartment, it suddenly became much brighter. ManeSix collected his emotions and began to sort through his mother's belongings. In reality, there weren't many items. The furniture in the house was already there, and besides that, his mother only had some clothes, a few notebooks filled with unknown writings, and some DVDs that his mother had bought for him when he was a child. ManeSix found a CD case and opened it to see the cover of the film Ultraman Tiga. Although it was far from what he had hoped for, he still watched these with his mother's company. Feeling a spark of inspiration, he opened the old CD player, turned on the TV, and inserted the disc. By a plow. The disc played smoothly, and ManeSix sat down at the dining table, in his familiar spot, watching the first episode of My Little Pony slowly play on the TV. Suddenly, a beam of light shot out from the TV, striking the unsuspecting ManeSix. What's going on? ManeSix exclaimed in terror, then was surrounded by the light, his breath slowly fading away as his trembling and struggling body weakened. The light enveloped a glowing sphere that emerged from ManeSix's body, shrinking into a void that appeared in midair. Outside the world, the glowing sphere flew rapidly along a line, surrounded by countless lines of different colors, connecting one giant world bubble after another. Moreover, the void was constantly buffeted by the winds of time and space, while the light tightly wrapped around the sphere to prevent it from being harmed by the winds. The winds washed over the light, transforming it into starlight that dissipated into the void. Finally, just before the light completely vanished, the sphere rushed into a massive world bubble and merged into one of the worlds within. ManeSix opened his eyes. Perhaps it was not yet time, but he could see a gigantic tree appearing before him, shimmering with 6 colored phantoms. The tree of harmony. ManeSix couldn't believe his eyes, even though he currently had no physical eyes. The phantoms of the elements of harmony on the tree flickered, their frequencies increasing, and ultimately, the 6 elements shot out beams of light that converged in the air. The various colored lights gathered together and suddenly generated a new light. Hope! A voice echoed in the void, and a cyan light merged into ManeSix's soul, and the 6 colored lights did not disappear, but instead turned toward ManeSix. the rainbow light forming the shape of a small pony. As the light dissipated, a small pony with black-tipped white mane and a body of light gold appeared in place. Then a void appeared beneath the small pony, and it hurriedly fell into it. Oh, and even bumped its teeth. Chapter 2: A falling star in the royal castle of Canterlot. Princess Celestia, who had just finished a day of government affairs, was slowly walking towards the bathroom, cherishing one of the few moments of relaxation in her day. Maybe I can sneak into the kitchen for a bedtime cake, Celestia thought to herself, planning the perfect scheme of sneaking into the kitchen at midnight to enjoy some cake before getting a good night's sleep, while slowly immersing her body in the warm water. Feeling the comfort of the warm water enveloping her body made her let out a contented sound. Suddenly, Celestia was startled by a loud scream from outside the castle. Right above it. Oh, well, maybe a bath isn't possible now. Celestia stood up immediately, using magic to dry her entire body, feeling a bit upset that her relaxation time was interrupted. However, as a princess, helping little ponies was her duty. I must get a small piece of cake later. With that thought, she teleported outside the castle and quickly located the falling unicorn colt. On the other side, the little unicorn, named Lyre, was also feeling quite bad. Well, he was in a state of panic, as he was currently free-falling from a height of 10,000 meters, and without a parachute. After letting out a thunderous scream, he fainted from fear, with only one thought in his mind before losing consciousness. Maybe if I pass out, it won't hurt when I hit the ground. Hey, I've got you, Celestia exclaimed. Oh my, how did you fall from such a high place? And oh, he has already fainted. Concerned that the little unicorn might be unconscious due to physical injury, Celestia used a detection spell to examine his body. The feedback from the magic suddenly revealed to her that this little unicorn had a familiar, yet strange resonance wave. It was familiar because she recognized it as the energy of harmony, and as the previous bearer of the element of harmony. She was well aware of what that resonance felt like. Moreover, in her eyes, the 6 resonance waves of harmony were rippling from this little filly. Remembering the element of harmony made Celestia think of Luna, the princess of the moon, and she couldn't forget the pain of that night when she used the element of harmony to banish her sister. It was strange because there was a different resonance from her. Celestia landed on the castle roof and carefully examined Lyre, confirming that he was indeed a colt. The different resonance seemed to be a new element of harmony. Incredible, she thought. Celestia understood that uncovering the origins of this little unicorn was of utmost importance. Not only because of his harmonic resonance, but also because it was already strange enough for a unicorn to fall from such a height. However, since Lyre was still unconscious, one could say he was asleep, Celestia decided to wait until he woke up to ask him about it. Let him sleep well for now, she thought, radiating her utmost kindness towards Lyre. The waves of harmony, along with this adorable little colt appearance, made her feel no need to be on guard. After I settle him down, I'll go have a big piece of cake, Celestia silently thought, and then she teleported Lyre to her bedroom. Celestia gently picked up Lyre with her front hooves, intending to place him on the bed. However, as Lyre came into contact with Celestia's warm body while still unconscious, he instinctively hugged her and mumbled, "Mommy, don't go, Mommy." Oh, he is still calling for his mommy, poor child. The sight of him mumbling in his sleep instantly touched Celestia's heart, stirring maternal feelings within her, and she suddenly felt that the cake might not be that important after all. Oh, I guess it's time for me to rest too. Celestia cuddled the little colt, who looked only about 3 years old, and got into bed, her wings naturally covering his body, leaving only his head exposed, just like a mother's embrace. Soon after, she fell asleep. The next morning, Celestia woke up on time to raise the sun. After confirming that Lyre was still asleep, she went to the kitchen to make pancakes. Skillfully using magic to flip the pancakes in the pan, she soon brought out 2 plates, one large and one small, topped with strawberry jam, decorated with cream and a strawberry in the center. Celestia also thoughtfully warmed a cup of milk for Lyre. At that moment, as the sun rose, Lyre suddenly opened his eyes wide. He was panting, as the last fall in his dream felt so real. I actually dreamed I turned into a horse. Thankfully, it was just a dream, Lyre said, rubbing his eyes with his hooves. This isn't a dream. There was a large floor mirror in the room, but it wasn't facing him, so Lyre couldn't see his reflection. He got up from the bed to look in the mirror and instinctively stood on his hind hooves, which caused him to lose his balance. With a loud thud, he fell off the bed and hit the ground. Luckily, the floor was covered with a soft rug, otherwise, he would have really hurt himself. Why is this bed so high? Lyre sat on the ground, rubbing his head, then wobbled on his 4 legs to the mirror, as if he had just gained a new body. What is this? Me? What came into view was a little colt that looked only 2 or 3 years old. with a light platinum coat, a mane that was mostly jet black, looking colorful under the sunlight, streaked with some white. His eyes were heterochromatic, one blue and one green. And a light golden horn passed through his bangs, also shimmering with a faint rainbow glow. However, his face shape resembled that of a filly more than a colt. He touched his face. There was no doubt he was a colt. Such a strange thing happening to him made his brain feel slightly overloaded. And he felt a puff of smoke rising from his head. When Celestia heard the sound of Lyre falling off the bed, she knew he was awake. The dining table in the palace was a bit too high for him now, so she brought in the freshly made strawberry jam pancakes and the milk. As soon as she entered, she saw Lyre being captivated by the mirror. Ahem. She coughed twice on purpose to pull Lyre out of his daze. Lyre turned his head and saw Celestia beside him, placing a plate of pancakes and a cup of milk next to him. Now that you're awake, come eat something, Celestia said gently. Oh, thank you. After a brief moment of thought, Lyre recognized her, the cosmic princess, Princess Celestia. After all, her colorful hair, which flowed due to overflowing magic, was too iconic. Tall, kind, gentle, these words popped into Lyre's mind. Come, open your mouth. Oh. Celestia manipulated the fork to bring a small piece of pancake to Lyre's mouth. Caught off guard, he was fed a bite. He hurriedly chewed and swallowed. Delicious. The pancakes were very soft, and the strawberry jam was sweeter than usual, but not overwhelming, with a slight tang that made him feel his appetite open up. After swallowing, he quickly said, I can eat by myself. But Celestia said nothing, continuing to feed him pancakes and milk. Chapter 3 Obsession. After the cosmic princess had satisfactorily finished feeding him, she teleported the cup and plate to the sink. After writing a letter stating that she had an urgent matter to attend to and needed to postpone government affairs by 2 hours, Celestia sent the letter out and planned to have a good talk with Lyre to inquire about his background. Turning around, she found Lyre still hiccuping, but unable to stop. It seems I fed him a bit too fast, Celestia thought, feeling a bit enamored by the adorable little Lyre, realizing she had been somewhat neglectful in caring for him. As it had been a long time since she had personally taken care of a child after Harmony had grown up, she approached and picked up Lyre with her front hooves. Lyre was startled. Hey, what are you doing? Celestia remained silent, simply helping him burp. She had fed him a bit too quickly, and Ming-Hsien, having just acquired this body, was not very skilled with some automatic physiological instincts. In short, for the sake of the plot, Ming-Hsien was now like a little baby being held and burped by the princess of the universe. This made him quite shy. His face flushed with a layer of red, but after the burping, he did feel much better. After confirming that Ming-Hsien was fine, Celestia solemnly placed him in front of her. I haven't even properly spoken to you yet, child. Celestia cleared her throat, trying to make her voice as gentle as possible. I am Celestia. Can you tell me your name? Her horn began to glow slightly. Ming-Hsien didn't notice this at all. He was still too shy to make eye contact due to the recent baby-like care he received. My name is Ming-Hsien, he said softly. That's a nice name. You must be a good child. Can you tell me how you fell from nearly 10,000 meters up? Celestia's horn began to shine brightly. Poor child. Celestia shed tears of sympathy, fully aware of what it felt like to part from loved ones. Luna was the one she had personally banished to the moon. She embraced the quietly sobbing Ming-Hsien, gently patting his back with her wings. Let it out, it will feel better, Celestia said tenderly. Ming-Hsien could no longer suppress his emotions and buried his head in Celestia's embrace, crying loudly and unable to calm down for a long time. Once Ming-Hsien's emotions gradually stabilized, Celestia said, Welcome to Pony Maria. If you don't mind, you can stay in the castle and live with me. Celestia extended the invitation, essentially laying her cards on the table. No. Ming-Hsien suddenly became agitated. I know, but I'm still not sure what that spell that brought you here is. However, Celestia straightened her expression and solemnly promised. I, Celestia, in the name of the ruler of Pony Maria, swear to use all my abilities to help you achieve your heart's desire. It sounded a bit awkward, but it warmed Ming-Hsien's heart and gave him some reassurance. For the next 3 years, Ming-Hsien learned the writing of Pony Maria while studying the basics of unicorn magic with Celestia. Perhaps due to his body being crafted from the essence of harmony, Ming-Hsien learned these things at an extraordinary speed. In just 1 month, he was able to use the writing fluently. However, many of the spells related to world traversal were composed of ancient pony language. So he spent an additional 3 months learning ancient pony language. However, he wasn't sure if it was just his imagination, but he felt that some of the characters looked very familiar while studying ancient pony language. He was eager to learn, and Celestia was generous with her teachings. But when it came to teaching world traversal magic, she was unprecedentedly serious. Before I teach you this, you must promise me not to open any world portals without my knowledge. That is really really dangerous. She said, I don't want to give you such a serious warning, but I have paid a painful price for it. And I don't want you to go through the same. Celestia said sadly, I understand, teacher. I won't be so reckless. Noticing Celestia's sadness, Mingxian gently hugged her. Good child, Celestia praised. However, all-world traversal magic is fundamentally different from the spell that brought him here. A year of study yielded no results, which made him very discouraged. Fortunately, under the encouragement of the Princess of the Universe, he rallied his spirits and tried to analyze from different perspectives, quickly realizing that the spell that brought his soul to Pony Maria might have remnants within his own soul. Eventually, he determined that all answers to his questions might only come from within himself. One night, he found Celestia, who had just finished work, and shared his guess with her. That is indeed a method, but I am not well versed in spells related to the soul, Celestia sighed. Moreover, I am very concerned that magic could cause irreversible harm to your soul. She expressed her worries to Mingxian, attempting to persuade him. I understand. She sighed again. For 3 years, she had hoped to gradually warm him and teach him, so he could take better care of himself. But Celestia knew how stubborn he was and realized that this matter had become his obsession. She took Mingxian to a place she hadn't stepped into for 1,000 years, the old castle she and her sister Luna once inhabited, where she had banished her sister. Ignoring the 5 essences of harmony turned to stone, Celestia led Mingxian directly to the magic research room of Star Swirl the Bearded. I hope this mechanism is not damaged. Celestia pressed a switch on the wall, opening a passage leading underground. She hadn't known about the existence of this mechanism, as back then, she and Luna were quite reckless, and Star Swirl was worried that the unfinished spell would lead the 2 sisters to discover it. So he hid the mechanism among many others. This mechanism was discovered only many years after Star Swirl's disappearance. If it's about the soul, then this is the only place that might have it, Celestia said. Most of the books in the library of the old castle had actually been copied to the Royal Library of Canterlot, and apart from those that had been damaged, the forbidden books had also been brought to Canterlot. However, the books in Star Swirl's research room were imbued with magic, and no pony other than himself could use their hooves to carry the books away. But that was 1,000 years ago. The magic had not been maintained, and its power had already crumbled, so Celestia could forcibly take them away. After a lot of searching, Mingxian actually found a spell that could meet his current needs. It was a contract-type magic, conceived by Star Swirl, that could manifest a pony's soul and make thoughts transparent to achieve the effect of a sincere contract. Star Swirl solved the problem of soul manifestation, but found that once the soul was manifested, the pony's soul would fall into a deep sleep, unable to use magic to complete the subsequent contract. So this magic, called the soul contract, was shelved. Mingxian was overjoyed. But Celestia took him away after finding a few more spells related to the soul. Although Star Swirl's ancient pony language was written very hastily, Mingxian's own handwriting wasn't much better, but he managed to recognize it. Once Celestia said she was ready, they could officially begin. Chapter 4. Despair and Hope. After several days of waiting, Celestia was finally ready with everything. And Mingxian had also mastered the soul manifestation magic, and even modified it slightly based on his understanding. Just as Celestia notified Mingxian that they could officially begin, he immediately headed to the place Celestia mentioned, walking through the main hall. He reached the side door and climbed up a spiral staircase to an independent tower in the castle. A white figure appeared within, aside from completing her duties. She had spent the last few days squeezing time to build the magic array in this wizard tower. As soon as Mingxian entered, the combined magic array on the floor emitted a soft glow, and Mingxian felt a sudden clarity of mind, and his thoughts seemed to become very sharp. So this is the function of these magic arrays. They strengthen the soul, Mingxian pondered. I hope you haven't been waiting too long, little Mingxian, Celestia said with a gentle smile, though her smile concealed her fatigue. No, I haven't. Maybe we should postpone for a few days. You should rest now. Mingxian saw Celestia's exhaustion. As she said, her knowledge of souls was limited, so for the past few days, Celestia had been cramming soul magic and setting up the magic circle. No, rest would come after this. Celestia said firmly that she had checked the magic circle countless times. And now was the time when the magic circle had the most abundant power, and also when she felt most at ease. She was afraid that if they missed today, any mistake in the magic circle could lead to damage to Mingxian's soul. You should have grasped the method of soul manifestation, right? Celestia asked. My little unicorn is a genius. Celestia thought to herself. Even the old star wizard couldn't solve the control issue of the body after the soul left. But Mingxian was able to advance further without any foundation. That was just wonderful. You really are a little genius. She never hesitated to express her admiration. Mingxian blushed slightly and began to adjust his state. Teacher, I'm ready. Mingxian shouted, and then under Princess Celestia's signal, he cast the spell. His surface began to emit a faint glow, and finally, all the glimmers coalesced at his horn, transforming into a small light sphere that floated out, a platinum-colored small sphere, with the center shining with blue-green light. The magic automatically activated again, and Mingxian's horn shot out a beam of light, causing the soul to take shape under the influence of magic. Strangely, the soul did not manifest as Mingxian's former human appearance, but rather as his current pony form, adorned with a harmony element around his neck. However, what shocked Princess Celestia the most was that Mingxian's soul was inscribed with spells composed of runes and ancient pony language. Incredible! This is simply unbelievable. Celestia had never heard of anyone being able to inscribe magic onto their soul, but she immediately realized that these spells might be the reason why Mingxian came to Equestria. Many of the runes and ancient pony languages were incoherent. So Celestia was very certain that Mingxian's soul shape had changed. He was now completely a pony inside and out. Celestia recorded all the runes and ancient pony languages that appeared on the soul in a notebook, recording separate words individually and coherent phrases together. Did we succeed? Mingxian only felt exhausted and his head was heavy. Oh, yes, we succeeded. Your hypothesis was completely correct, but now we need to rest, little Mingxian. Celestia embraced Mingxian in her wings, and his already drowsy head couldn't resist the sleepiness, drifting off into slumber. As he slept, he murmured, Thank you, Mom. Yes, after such a long period of care, Mingxian had come to regard Celestia as family, his other mother. Good night, my child. The next day, when Mingxian woke up, the cosmic princess had already gone to handle government affairs, and on the bedside table were pancakes and milk made by Celestia, along with a letter and a brown notebook. After finishing the pancakes and milk, Mingxian sent the dishes to the sink, where there were special ponies to wash them. He picked up the notebook and the letter, deciding to open the letter first, not rushing to study on his own. In the letter, Celestia stated that Mingxian's soul shape had indeed changed, and it was undoubtedly that of a pony from the inside out. However, as a result, she discovered that the spells on Mingxian's soul had shifted from their original positions. She recorded all the spells, both coherent and incoherent, and drew a six-dimensional diagram indicating where the spells were located at that time. She did not understand the human form, so she was powerless in restoring the spells, and this was something he could only research on his own. However, she hoped that if he had any questions or progress, he would report immediately because some of the runes' magic was too vast. At the same time, she further opened the permissions for the restricted section to him, allowing him to study runes because she felt that Mingxian was a sensible child, praising his talent, which made Mingxian blush. Thus, in the second year of these 3 years, he began studying runes and reverse engineering spells. He drew a diagram of the human body and, with Celestia's help, restored the spells onto the human form according to his understanding. By the end of the second year, he succeeded. He successfully cast the spell, but he also fell into despair. This spell required a reference object from another world to connect, but the pony world only had pony-related things. He had no items from his original world, not even his own soul, which now belonged to the ponies. In a pitch-black room, Mingxian sat at the table, lost in thought. Suddenly, the door to the room opened, and the light outside illuminated Mingxian's ashen body. It was Princess Celestia. Hey, little Mingxian, you told me yesterday that the spell was almost complete. As soon as Celestia entered, she noticed that Mingxian's condition was off and asked, What happened? Did the spell not succeed? She walked over and sat beside Mingxian, noticing that he was already in tears. She gently wiped away his tears with her wings and embraced him, allowing him to cry in her arms, just like when they first met. Hey, it's okay to fail. We can keep trying until we succeed. I will help you, just like I said, Celestia said while wiping his tears. Then why? Celestia asked, her eyes revealing concern, sensing that things seemed to be taking a turn for the worse. Because I can never get over it. Mingxian's voice carried a sense of despair. The spell needs a reference object from my original world. I don't have one. I can only see millions of worlds related to ponies with my own soul. I really don't know what to do. Mingxian trembled and continued to cry. Before Celestia could speak, Mingxian continued to talk to himself. Am I a failure? I've dragged her down for so long, but couldn't give her a good life. Couldn't let her continue her hobbies, not even. Mingxian choked up a few times, not even able to personally bury her, to let her rest in peace. Mingxian's emotions completely spiraled out of control. You have already done so much. You learned magic, you modified the spell, you even manifested your soul. You can take care of yourself now, child. Celestia said sincerely. She would be proud of you, and I am proud of you too. If I could, I would also like to be your mother. I don't deserve it. In the last year of the 3 years, Mingxian rarely mentioned the spells. But he was like a deflated balloon, lacking spirit every day, as if his soul had been taken away. Every day, he would prepare warm water and a cake for the tired Celestia, but he seemed to have lost the emotional fluctuations he once had. Over the course of that year, Celestia noticed it all and felt pain in her heart, but she didn't know how to comfort Mingxian. She could only do everything she could to let Mingxian feel her warmth, hoping to make him understand that there were ponies who cared about him, encouraging him to perk up, but there was no effect. Until the day fate arrived. Mingxian was daydreaming as usual while looking at his notes when a loud explosion echoed through the sky, disturbing his complicated thoughts. He looked out the window and saw a magnificent rainbow descending to the horizon. It was this rainbow sonic boom that led the six to find their direction, connecting their fates together. Sonic boom. Fate. Connection? Mingxian felt he had grasped something and hurried to Celestia's bedroom, picked up a record, and began to use magic. As the magic was cast, he saw something different and finally felt hope. So that's how it is. So that's how it is. Mingxian was extremely excited. I succeeded. Chapter 5. Mingxian's adorable emblem. The record in his hand was made by Mingxian himself, out of Celestia's curiosity about the world music of Mingxian. It was a pop song from his world, and due to its unique and pleasant style, it was treasured by Celestia. Just now, Mingxian used a note manifestation spell and a reverse deduction spell on the record, allowing him to see a new world. Although it wasn't his own world, it was indeed a world completely unrelated to ponies. As long as I can find a song that fully belongs to my world, I will be able to find it. Mingxian understood completely what he needed to do next. In that moment of realization, powerful magic manifested around him and then concentrated at his hind leg, right on his flank. A strong light flashed, and Mingxian received his adorable emblem. The adorable emblem consisted of one large circle and two smaller ones. The two small circles were positioned above and below the large circle, while the staff and notes spiraled around the large circle, connecting the two smaller circles, symbolizing the ability to connect two worlds through music. Just as Celestia, who had just accepted Twilight Sparkle as a student, arrived in her bedroom, she sensed Mingxian's magic activating. She had to leave the celebrating Twilight Sparkle to check if Mingxian was okay. As soon as she entered, she saw the sparkling, adorable emblem on Mingxian's flank, and surprise overwhelmed her, causing her to rush over and hug Mingxian, spinning around with him. Mingxian was caught off guard and began to experience the effects of centrifugal force. Wait, teacher, this is a bit too fast, ugh. Now, there were two of them feeling dizzy. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm just so happy. You've regained your spirit and have your adorable emblem. I'm so proud of you. Celestia noticed Mingxian's embarrassment and quickly set him down, expressing her joy just because she had seen Mingxian's adorable emblem and smile. After all, Mingxian hadn't smiled at all in the past year. Today is truly a double blessing. Celestia not only accepted a powerful little girl with original magic as a student, but also witnessed Mingxian's return to vitality. Well, because I figured something out, Mingxian said. Huh, what? Mingxian was a bit confused. Oh, sorry, you mean you found a way? How did you discover it? The princess showed a hint of an awkward smile and quickly changed the subject. Oh, about that. I started to talk about my bold guess about the concept range of magic regarding reference objects after seeing the rainbow sound explosion and how I verified my guess, etc. It's just a pity about this record. During the verification process, the magic consumed the music on it as a reference object. However, Mingxian had a feeling that if he had used the power of the adorable emblem to assist, maybe the record wouldn't have been consumed and could have been used as a reusable reference for finding a world. But I've already found the direction. If I can find a song that represents my world, I will be able to find it. Mingxian said excitedly. Oh yay, that's really great. Celestia was glad that things had progressed, but for some reason, she felt a bit lost. Watching Mingxian excitedly bring one instrument after another into the lab, she tried to cheer herself up. At least he looks much better, doesn't he? Celestia asked herself in her heart. After a day of preparation, Mingxian began his journey of searching. He started to replicate songs he could still remember in his mind using instruments. Thanks to the element of harmony and later Celestia's enhancement of Mingxian's soul, he remembered everything from his past life perfectly. But since he had no prior knowledge of music theory, he still spent months learning to use each instrument. I thought I had forgotten how to miss. Facing the sunset. When he finally replicated the first record moment, he felt his adorable emblem shining with joy. Then, to his surprise, the record in his hooves turned into a stream of light and shrank into his adorable emblem. The music began to play from the record with the rhythmic vibrations of the adorable emblem. He hadn't even cast a spell yet. But the adorable emblem presented him with worlds that had this music, and they played the music together, making the solo sound like a massive choir. Because there were still a vast number of them, Mingxian didn't have time to check, and the music quietly played to its end. The disc popped out from the adorable emblem, and the worlds he had seen quietly faded into the void. It seems I can only look for iconic music. He sighed, realizing that within 3 minutes, checking millions or even tens of millions of worlds was beyond his ability. He tried once more to insert the disc into the adorable emblem, but found that the disc had become very hot in his hooves. He attempted to use a freezing spell, but found that the heat could only be cooled down slowly over time. Therefore, he cast another spell, placing a new, unrecorded disc on the recorder, and the next moment, beautiful music once again resonated throughout the room. Meanwhile, Celestia, while reviewing documents, secretly watched him throughout the day with a crystal ball. Seeing that he had achieved nothing all day, her brow couldn't help but furrow. During dinner, she intentionally asked Mingxian if there had been any progress. The previously tense Mingxian suddenly exploded. No progress at all. Each piece of music plays for at most 5 minutes. But the number of worlds is simply more than the stars in the sky. Can you imagine? They not only have a 10-minute cooldown, but the same musical world appears without any order. I've already seen the same world 10 times. I will never find it. Mingxian was burned out. Celestia was a bit surprised by Mingxian's sudden outburst, but her gaze softened. Mingxian wasn't a pony who liked to curse. Even in serious matters, she only heard him say one word. It must be that he has been under a lot of pressure this year. But she had been busy with state affairs and couldn't fully comfort him. Thinking of this, Celestia gently began to sing. Dear little pony, I witness your struggle. Crossing the shadows of snow and rain outside the window. The whispers of 3 years of cold winters sing of your perseverance, a testament forged from laughter and pain. You have forged a magical talent that transcends understanding, stepping into realms beyond my wing's protection. No need for support, you shatter the shackles in others' eyes. Etching the unrecorded journey in scripture with your horseshoes. If your mother's spirit still rides the winds, her pride will ignite like dawn breaking through the forest. Her whispers woven into the embrace of starlight become a blazing legend that pierces through time and space. Run, warrior, through the destined storm. The true essence of magic is shaping your true self. I, Celestia, swear by the golden flame of the sun, wherever you go, I will always sing your true name. My child, I will always be by your side. So do not lose hope. Do not be discouraged. I will be by your side until your success. Celestia gently comforted Mingxian. Whenever she faced setbacks, her own mother would use a guitar to accompany her and sing songs she had never heard before to soothe her. Thank you, teacher. I know what to do next. Hope reignited in Mingxian's eyes. I know, but don't rush it for a while. You've been tired all day. Let's have dinner together and get a good night's sleep. Celestia picked up a piece of cake and fed it to Mingxian, who seriously ate it bite by bite. The next morning, after finishing breakfast, Mingxian arrived early at his research room, filled with hope. Mother, please guide me. Chapter 6. A Little Pony Unable to Return Home. The melody of dawn once again. A blank record was placed into the recorder, and Mingxian gently began to play and sing. In this unfamiliar world, I too had felt fear and confusion. However, my child, I will not always shrink back. Looking at the brand new record on his hoof, he couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. Stealing a glance at Mingxian, Celestia felt the same tension. Taking a deep breath, Mingxian placed the disc into the cute emblem and entered the familiar space once more. Music began to resonate from the emblem again, and the world started to play along. This time, it seemed a bit monotonous, yet it brought tears of excitement to Mingxian's eyes. Before him, only 2 worlds were playing this music. One was the pony world, where Mingxian resided, and when he sang this song, the music would be absorbed into that world, allowing the cute emblem to incorporate the world into its options. The other world was undoubtedly his original world. He excitedly checked and saw the familiar rental apartment, but his body and his mother's box were gone. Everything else remained unchanged, except for the photos of himself and his mother placed on the table. It seems that my body in this world has completely perished, Mingxian deduced. After the music ended, he exited this space, looking at the record on his hoof, and finally couldn't help but smile. Seeing Mingxian smile, Celestia understood that he had succeeded, and his smile inadvertently infected her, prompting her to hum a little tune while smiling and reviewing documents. Mingxian also encountered a question that wasn't too difficult. His world was a bit too far from the current one. Although a year of research had significantly reduced the magic power consumption of the spell, his magical power was still only enough for his soul to pass through the pony universe bubble and run half the distance. After researching, Mingxian discovered that the reason for this might stem from the pony world. His body was composed of the power of 6 harmonious elements, and there was a harmonious element within his soul, which caused the pony world to hold tightly onto his body and soul, especially his body. He could only barely send his soul out. After gathering his thoughts, Mingxian wrote a letter to inform Celestia about his research findings and hoped she could spare a day to help him. After sending the letter, he still felt a bit embarrassed. After all, Celestia had been helping him for 3 years without complaint. Despite his occasional stubbornness, she still surrounded him with kindness. After receiving the letter, Celestia readily agreed to Mingxian's request. She took out a new piece of parchment and wrote a letter, asking the officials below to clear a day for her. That day soon arrived, but Celestia felt very nervous. Mingxian noticed Celestia's anxiety. "Teacher, is something wrong?" Mingxian asked. "Promise me, no matter what happens there, I will always be here waiting for you," Celestia suddenly said. Mingxian froze for a moment and rubbed his head against Celestia. A gentle word, yet it made her relax. Watching Mingxian get ready, Celestia's horn accumulated magic, and a steady stream of magical power flowed toward Mingxian. He instantly felt filled with strength. He cast a spell, and a familiar portal appeared above his head. Mingxian's soul detached from his body and entered the passage to the world. Mingxian flew toward the world against the light. When his soul first journeyed to the pony world, it was in a state of slumber, but now he could clearly see the true appearance of the cosmic space. Fierce winds raged outside the great universe bubble. Without the bubble, these winds could blow away individual worlds until they crashed into something and were destroyed. The form of the universe bubble can be described as a large ball containing smaller balls, as if a plastic bag held a bunch of glass marbles. But not all were like this. As he entered, he saw his spiritual position, which felt a bit strange. He shifted his gaze to his mother's photo. Her face always bore a gentle smile, as she faced the world that had never ceased to persecute her with optimism. Lin Yun was her name, but as her child, he was not given her surname and was directly called Mingxian. Mingxian had never understood this but respected his mother's wishes, as she had always been the best to him. He went to the cemetery he had chosen for his mother, which was empty. He pondered for a moment and decided to look for Aunt Li under the moonlight. The house had not been tidied up, and it looked just like it did when Mingxian lived there, with photos of the two of them displayed as a memorial. This was clearly arranged by Aunt Li. Only she could selflessly do this for them. Mingxian arrived at Aunt Li's residence, looking at the sleeping Aunt Li, and dove into her dream. Aunt Li, Mingxian called out. "Is that you, Xiaoxian?" Aunt Li's dream slowly shifted from chaos to clarity. In the dream, Mingxian transformed into human form, standing in front of Aunt Li. "You and your mother are both resting in Lingue Garden." Aunt Li explained where Mingxian and his mother's tombstones were located, noting that it was a very expensive plot, but Aunt Li had bought 2 adjacent ones. "Thank you, Aunt Li," Mingxian expressed his gratitude. Aunt Li always felt guilty. Your mother was someone who downplayed her kindness to others, yet she valued the kindness of others highly. "She saved my life, but I couldn't save you." Aunt Li's eyes were already red. "That's not true, Aunt Li. Without your help back then, my mother and I might not have survived. You have saved our lives long ago." "Thank you, Aunt Li. I should go see my mom now." Mingxian expressed his gratitude once more and sent his blessings. The harmonious element flickered. Aunt Li's future days would be smooth sailing, and she would live happily for the rest of her life. Afterward, Mingxian withdrew from the dream and headed to the address Aunt Li provided to find his mother's tombstone. He found it and also saw an unexpected presence. A pink pony with white hair and blue eyes was sitting in front of his mother's tombstone. But her soul was clearly dimmer. She wore a faint smile, as if waiting for something. Looking into her chaotic eyes, Mingxian couldn't believe it. But his intuition told him that this pony was indeed his mother's soul. Mingxian fully understood why he had come to Pony Maria, and why his mother always loved to sing, because her cute emblem was a microphone. "Mom." Mingxian stepped forward, trembling as he spoke, his tone filled with doubt. All doubts were shattered as Mingxian suddenly plunged into his mother's embrace. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," Mingxian repeatedly said, his tone filled with regret. Lin Yun maintained her smile, her gentle gaze fixed on Mingxian, continuously using her hoof to soothe the trembling Mingxian. "Did I disappoint you?" Mingxian asked in a voice as small as a mosquito's. "No." Lin Yun finally spoke her first words. "You have always been my pride. But I didn't provide you with a good life. I didn't help you achieve your dreams. I didn't even give you a proper burial." Lin shook her head and began to narrate a story, line by line. Once upon a time, there was a little horse who, under the influence of an unknown force, was forced to leave her hometown and arrived in this strange place, transforming into a human form. She constantly missed her hometown, longing for the hustle and bustle of winter and spring and the fallen leaves of the autumn marathon. She never stopped studying that force. After 32 years of effort and determination, she successfully created a passage back to her hometown. However, she had already developed attachments in this world, giving up the thought of returning home and only wished to raise her child. Unfortunately, fate was unkind, and she could no longer accompany her child as they grew up. Ming-Xian was born as a human, but under her education, he became more like a little horse. She feared that her child would be hurt, scared, lose his goals, and fall into a blind vortex if he lost her. So, she attached magic to him. If the child held on to a will to die, she would use her soul as the price to send him to Pony Maria, where her old hometown would become his new home. Yet, she was still worried about him. She felt that he would not easily give up, so she waited, telling him where his home should be at that moment. I hope your life is not just for me. I choose to send you to Pony Maria, where I hope you can live for yourself again. I don't want you to leave, Ming-Xian said hoarsely. Ming-Xian staggered to his feet. His hair, once black with white highlights, had turned completely black. And his cute mark had changed as well, with two small circles extending a thick line connecting to a larger circle. As soon as he opened his eyes, he met the worried gaze of Princess Celestia. The portal had closed, and seeing that he was fine, Celestia breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, the moment he left, Celestia had already regretted it. She truly did not want this child to take too great a risk. No matter how confident she was in her magic, she could not prevent her worries about the child. Ming-Xian approached her and hugged her. Thank you, Mom. That's what I should do. The two embraced for a while before Celestia began to ask him what had happened. You are a great mother, Celestia said. I will start a new life, Mom. Please give me a new name, Ming-Xian requested of Celestia. Your name was never complete from the beginning. You represent hope. You connected impossible worlds through music. You are Dawn Melody. Dawn Melody clearly noticed the change in his cute mark, but he did not yet know what the specific change was. So, he tried to put the records he had made before back into the cute mark and entered the cosmic space again. He immediately discovered the change. Although the world before him still had many elements, they were basically wrapped in a cosmic bubble, rather than being laid out before him all at once like before. Dawn Melody could freely choose a cosmic bubble to enter and exit at any time, but this was not the main change. He found that the worlds he could only view before now flickered with strange lights. Unable to resist, he touched one of them and saw that it was a world centered on entertainment, with songs he had heard and hadn't heard. Only the singers were different from those in his world. Dawn Melody couldn't help but start singing, and the instruments began to play on their own under the influence of magic. The blank discs were sent into the machine, but the sound from the cute mark was somewhat interfering. As Dawn Melody realized this, the cute mark gradually quieted down. Cool, I can even adjust the volume, Dawn Melody thought, and then he sang and played his thoughts freely. He was so engrossed that he produced one record after another, completely unaware that the discs in the cute mark should have already finished playing. However, they did not eject, but automatically began to replay. When Dawn Melody's magic ran out, and he stopped, he found that the record had been played an unknown number of times. The record was so hot that it created a distorted heat wave in the air, with the edges slightly melted, looking completely ruined. Dawn Melody threw the ruined record into the trash can, and after his magic recovered a bit, he decisively made a new record titled from a game named. The reason for choosing this music was that he often listened to it before, and replicating it wouldn't take too much effort. Moreover, the music had clear character orientation, which was very convenient for Dawn Melody to test his abilities. This time, Dawn Melody did not choose to mute it, so the passionate music rang in his ears. He quickly selected a world that looked the most normal. This time, his magic did not deplete itself as before, and he clearly felt a magic different from Pony Maria flowing out of the cute mark, while his mind suddenly became very agile. After validating his thoughts, Dawn Melody couldn't help but feel excited. He could borrow the abilities of characters from other worlds through music. However, Dawn Melody's use of the cute mark was still not very skilled. If it wasn't a song with character orientation, he would accidentally select multiple options, which would forcefully bring up the entire world's musical ideas like the previous record. Excited, Dawn Melody prepared to find Celestia, and when he opened the door, he subconsciously used a shortcut. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Celestia and then fainted. This kind of magic was still too much for him as a child, not to mention that he had just consumed a lot of magic. Celestia was startled when she rushed in and saw Dawn Melody collapsed on the ground. She hurried over to check what was wrong and found that he had just exhausted too much magic. However, she still felt a bit worried. Oh dear, what's wrong with this child? So, Celestia placed him on a guest sofa to rest, and then continued to review the documents submitted to her. When Dawn Melody woke up, Celestia had already gone out to participate in a ceremony. She left a strange fruit on the table with a note saying that it could alleviate excessive magic expenditure and restore magic. After eating the fruit, Dawn Melody indeed felt much better, but he also temporarily paused his thoughts of continuing to study the cute mark and began to stare blankly at the clouds in the sky. He had been starting a new life in Pony Maria for a week, and without the pressure of life, he felt a bit lost as to what to do. He did many things. One horse played football, another horse painted, another horse studied magic, and another horse wrote books and placed them in the library. The more he thought about it, the stranger he felt. Was he a bit too simplistic? Shaking off the thought, I prepared to continue watching the clouds, only to find that the cloud I had just been observing had already been dispersed by a Pegasus. Meanwhile, Celestia made a decision on her side, which was to let Dawn Melody enroll in the Academy for Gifted Unicorns, as she noticed that Dawn Melody's frequency when seeking her out far exceeded that of before. Although Dawn Melody denied it, Celestia knew that he was feeling very lonely, and her daily political duties were already quite heavy. Besides breakfast and dinner, it was hard for her to accompany Dawn Melody. Celestia didn't ask Lyra for help in taking care of him because Dawn Melody believed he could take care of himself. And in fact, he did manage to do so. Throughout the week, he had essentially been the one cooking breakfast and dinner, and sometimes even brought her lunch, making her feel somewhat like a failing mother. Then she took out her crystal ball to check on Dawn Melody's situation and found that he was already awake, staring blankly out the window at the sky, which further confirmed her thoughts. He needs friends now, Celestia thought firmly. She knew that Dawn Melody learned quickly and wasn't particularly fond of school, but now it was up to her as his mother to make a decision for him. So, during dinner, Celestia informed Dawn Melody that he would be enrolling the day after tomorrow. Mom, I shouldn't need to go to school with my level of magic, right? Dawn Melody protested. Of course, you don't need to learn magic, but you do need to learn some common sense. Do you remember 2 days ago when you told me what you wanted to eat? Celestia said without room for argument. Dawn Melody shrank his neck. He had been just as exhausted from researching cute symbols the night before, so Celestia had cooked for him. Although there was a chef, Celestia clearly wanted him to enjoy a mother's cooking. However, when she asked him what he wanted to eat, he absent-mindedly said beef stew with potatoes, which shocked Celestia. I was just too relaxed and didn't pay attention. It shouldn't have come to this, Dawn Melody said, still somewhat unconvinced. Listen, my son, I don't want you to create pressure for those kids at school, but every day you either lock yourself in your room or wander around the castle. Are you really planning to start your new pony life like this? Celestia questioned. All right, I understand. I'll go, Mom, Dawn Melody compromised. That's a good child. Trust me. School isn't that bad. At least you won't be staring blankly at the sky anymore, Celestia said with satisfaction. How do you know that, Mom? Dawn Melody clearly remembered that he had been alone when he was daydreaming. Oh, well, hey, son, your rice cakes are really delicious. Celestia quickly changed the subject. She couldn't very well say that she often monitored him with the crystal ball, could she? I'm glad you like it, Dawn Melody said, seeing through her but not calling her out on it. This is your backpack. Hold it well. Celestia carefully hung a pink saddlebag on Dawn Melody and even thoughtfully pinned a bow hairpin to his head to keep his bangs from blocking his face. You do know I'm your son, right? Dawn Melody said speechlessly. Celestia was just shy of draping a dress over him. Oh, look at that puffed up little face. You're still so cute. Trust me, little princess, there's nothing wrong with wearing this, Celestia said, looking at Dawn Melody with satisfaction, then tried to ask, hey, are you really not going to try on this dress? You can wear it now while you're still small. Once you grow up, you won't be able to wear it anymore. No, you promised me I could wear this hairpin, but don't mention any dresses again, Dawn Melody said seriously. Oh, all right. It's just that I sewed this myself, and I hoped you would like it, Celestia said somewhat sadly, tears shimmering in her eyes. Dawn Melody's heart softened, and he had to change his tune, saying, that's wonderful, but it's almost time for school. Do you want me to walk you there? No need. I'll use the acceleration spell. I can walk myself, Dawn Melody refused. And besides, you wanted me to make friends, right? How am I supposed to make friends if they find out my mom is a princess of the universe? He further explained. Oh, good point. Then have a safe trip, Celestia said, watching Dawn Melody leave with a look of satisfaction at her plan. Servants. Celestia called a little pony over. Prepare the items on this list and deliver them here tonight. Celestia tossed a list and then cheerfully went to handle her political duties for the day. The little pony hurriedly caught the list and read out the items. Azalea dress, green spring dress, all in children's sizes, and a high-definition magic camera with 100 film rolls. The servant pony eagerly went to carry out the task, thinking that some little princess must have caught the attention of her highness. Who could it be? It was hard to guess. Meanwhile, Dawn Melody was walking down the streets of Canterlot for the first time in 3 years. Here, there were pony-drawn carriages, ponies riding in carriages, and ponies talking. Compared to his previous life, everything in Ponyville looked quite extraordinary. Hello, is this Dawn Melody? A teacher smiled and confirmed his name. What a cute little girl, the teacher thought to herself as she welcomed him. Come on, I'll take you to your class. I hope you can get along well with your classmates. By the way, you can call me Miss Jasmine. Miss Jasmine took his hoof and led him to his classroom. In the classroom, Moondance curiously asked Twilight Sparkle, What do you think this new student is like? Twilight Sparkle, looking at a history book without lifting her head, replied briefly, I don't know. All right, Moondance said, also lowering her head to continue reading. With just a glance, Dawn Melody spotted the very eye-catching presence, Twilight Sparkle. Celestia had mentioned that she had taken in a new student, and Dawn Melody knew it was on the day of the Rainbow Dash explosion. But in reality, he only recognized Twilight Sparkle. After all, his favorite show back then was Ultramantiga, so he hadn't really gotten to know the other ponies. However, he did notice another little pony nearby who was practically her doppelganger. All right, quiet down, class. Today we have a new student joining us. And I hope you all get along well, Miss Jasmine said, signaling Dawn Melody to come to the front. Please introduce yourself, Dawn Melody. Hello, everyone. My name is Dawn Melody, he said briefly. Very good, and what else? Miss Jasmine encouraged him to continue. I like listening to music. Doing some little research or something, Dawn Melody said uncertainly. Haha, what a wonderful introduction. You can sit next to Lyra Heartstrings, Ms. Jasmine pointed to the teal little pony. Dawn Melody nodded and went to sit next to Lyra Heartstrings. He felt a bit stiff. Self-introductions always made him feel very nervous and awkward, even though the audience was just a group of little ponies. Hey, hello, Lyra Heartstrings greeted Dawn Melody. Hey, it's amazing that you remembered my name on the first try, Lyra said excitedly. She didn't know why she wanted to talk to Dawn Melody so much. When she first met others, it usually took her several tries to get their names right, but they were the exception. Oh, except for Twilight and Moondance. They always remembered things quickly. Dawn Melody thought that was normal. After all, they were still foals, and it was normal for them to have trouble remembering things. Yeah, but they only like reading books. Sometimes it's hard to get them to play. A yellow little pony in front turned to join the conversation. How strange. How can there be ponies who don't like to play? Dawn Melody looked ahead and noticed that the two little ponies were buried in a book that was almost bigger than they were. Oh, indeed, quite extraordinary, Dawn Melody commented. He could feel that the personalities of the two little ponies seemed similar, but there were still quite a few differences. Twilight Sparkle should be considered the intellectual representative in My Little Pony, right? Dawn Melody thought, and he suddenly remembered that when he played the cute emblem the day before yesterday, his mind seemed to become clearer and more agile, perhaps because he used to be a researcher. Dawn Melody suddenly thought, why not look for a piece related to a character with exceptionally high intelligence to assist him? And this character should ideally be smart and versatile, with a strong talent in both science and magic. I'm Lemonheart, can we be friends? The yellow pony's words interrupted his thoughts. Oh, that, of course, Dawn Melody replied. After all, that was the purpose of his visit. Oh, that's great. You know, I was just worried you might be hard to get along with because you really didn't seem to like talking just now, Lemonheart chattered. Then we are friends now. I'm Minity, said the blue pony. I'm Shining Bright, said the light yellow pony. Your eyes are so beautiful. I've never seen a pony with two different eye colors. Minity expressed her admiration for his eyes. And your hairpin is really cute, Shining Bright said. Maybe we can have a girls' tea party together this weekend, Lemonheart suggested. Yay. The four little ponies cheered together. Seeing that Dawn Melody was integrating well, Teacher Jasmine felt relieved and left. However, another adult was secretly watching and chuckling at what happened next. Actually, I'm a stallion. Dawn Melody raised his hand. What? The four ponies exclaimed again. Oh, that's unexpected, but it doesn't matter. You can still join our girls' tea party, Lemonheart said. That's right, Dawn Melody, you look really cute. I have no objections, Shining Bright said. It's Dawn Melody, he corrected her. Oh, sorry, she said, shyly scratching her head. Yay, the four of them cheered again. And his own world felt like a transit station, able to help him find the songs he needed. Moreover, after his hair completely turned black, the pull of the pony world became less strong, allowing him to open a small teleportation jump gate, avoiding the trouble of traversing the void of the universe. Dawn Melody experimented. That place could only be entered by souls, while items and bodies would open a jump gate to directly enter the world. Dawn Melody quickly found the song he wanted online, Iron Man Tony Stark's theme song. There were two well-known ones, both rock music. So Dawn Melody decided to get them both. After all, having just one would definitely be the most commonly used, and alternating them wouldn't easily overheat. The two records were freshly produced, and Dawn Melody eagerly took one and placed it into the cute emblem. As the passionate rock music played, Dawn Melody quickly selected one of the worlds and rapidly locked onto the character, Tony Stark. The icon of Iron Man's head appeared in the cute emblem, and Dawn Melody instantly felt that the knowledge he had learned seemed to come alive, with novel ideas constantly bursting in his mind. What made Dawn Melody happiest was that although the magic consumption was greater than when he was using non-magic, he could fully support it. And with the sudden surge of intelligence, he suddenly realized that there seemed to be some inaccuracies in the book he had sent to the library 5 days ago. Since dinner was still early, I can correct the mistakes and read for a while. Saying this, Dawn Melody slowly left the research room. Twilight Sparkle was humming a song, walking alone from home to the library, feeling very happy because 4 days ago she had read an excellent magic book. It was full of basic magic, but the author had made slight modifications to all the basic magic, allowing ponies to consume less magic to achieve the same effects. The author had not left a real name, and the pen name was something she had never heard of, called Digga. But Twilight Sparkle believed that a talented author like this should not be nameless. He must be an aspiring, emerging great wizard. And Digga not only had such excellent works in basic magic, but Twilight Sparkle also found that this author had written a comprehensive guide to intermediate unicorn magic and a comprehensive guide to advanced unicorn magic. When Twilight Sparkle saw these, she was practically going to go crazy with excitement. She had spent an entire day reading the basic magic. She had never spent so much time reading a book, and every word in it seemed worth savoring. Twilight Sparkle went to her old spot to find that book, but found it missing no matter how hard she looked. Where is it? Where did it go? Twilight Sparkle shouted anxiously. Shoo! The nearby ponies who were disturbed warned her to be quiet. Startled, Twilight Sparkle shrank back, and they didn't hold it against her since they saw she was still a child. Twilight Sparkle went to the librarian to ask if any pony had borrowed the Advanced Unicorn Magic Guide. We have many copies of the Advanced Unicorn Magic Guide. Which one are you talking about? The librarian asked. Oh, the author's name is Digga, do you know? He's really a genius. He adjusted all the magic structures. Can you imagine? This means he not only understands all the magic, but also. Twilight Sparkle became more and more excited as she spoke. Hey, little girl. Quiet down. This is a library, not a place for you to make noise. The librarian interrupted her. I don't have any borrowing records for that book. So it should still be in the library, the librarian said. Really? That's great. Where is it now? Twilight Sparkle asked excitedly. Oh, I don't know, after all. Other ponies can read this book without my permission, the librarian replied with a smile. Oh, right. Thank you. Twilight Sparkle realized she had made a silly mistake, so she thanked her and hurriedly left. Enhancing Vision Magic. Twilight Sparkle used a mid-level spell. She originally didn't know this magic, but the insights written in the book allowed her to learn it effortlessly. The magic enhanced her vision and attention, allowing her to quickly find her target. She had memorized the appearance of the advanced magic book, and after a round in the library, she finally spotted her target. A pony of her age was holding that book, quickly scribbling and making corrections. Each stroke of writing on the book seemed to stab like a sharp knife into Twilight Sparkle's heart. Hey, what are you doing? She couldn't help but shout at Dawn Melody, startling him, who was focused on correcting mistakes. Shoo! The nearby ponies warned Twilight Sparkle again. Oh, haha, sorry. Realizing she was a bit impulsive, Twilight Sparkle quieted down, but her heart couldn't calm down. She rushed in front of Dawn Melody and quietly questioned him. Do you know what you're doing? You're destroying a great author's work, and I haven't even read this book yet. After saying that, Twilight Sparkle stared at Dawn Melody with a fierce gaze, as if she wanted to bite a piece of flesh from him. Actually, I don't think I'm that great. I'm just here to fix a few small mistakes I made before. I'm almost done. If you like it, you can take it to read, Dawn Melody explained, handing the book to Twilight Sparkle and then going to get the book he wanted to read. With Tony Stark's wisdom, he felt that every piece of knowledge he had encountered became clear and seemed to come alive, which made him eager for every new piece of knowledge. Twilight Sparkle was somewhat taken aback by his words, but she still opened the book that Dawn Melody handed her, hoping in her heart. What if he only made a few scribbles? What if she could still see some of the original content? Her hopes were shattered, and after flipping through the entire book, she found that almost all the content had been altered. The handwriting was undoubtedly that of Dawn Melody, and the new ink looked identical to the old ink. Combined with what Dawn Melody had just said, oh my gosh, he is Digga. Shoo! The ponies had already reminded this purple little unicorn for the 3rd time. But Twilight Sparkle couldn't care less. She excitedly searched for Dawn Melody's figure and quickly found him. Just as Twilight Sparkle arrived next to Dawn Melody and was about to excitedly say something, a hoof covered her mouth. Dawn Melody sighed and cast a silence bubble, then removed his saliva-covered hoof. Twilight Sparkle's words came pouring out like a machine gun. Are you Digga? Did you really write those 3 books? You look so small. How do you know all the magic? I mean, no offense, but look, you've simplified all the magic and made it consume less. I thought you were a great wizard who had been studying for a long time. Oh my gosh, maybe you're his apprentice, and you're just responsible for copying the books. Right? Dawn Melody felt his head was about to explode. He was embarrassed to be called by his online name in reality. He should have used his real name. However, He remembered that Twilight Sparkle was supposed to be a pony who wasn't good at talking and interacting with others when she was younger. Seeing that Twilight Sparkle still wanted to ask more questions, Dawn Melody covered her mouth with his still wet hoof again. Hey, don't ask so eagerly. There are still a few hours until tonight. We have plenty of time, right? Dawn Melody said. Can we take it one question at a time? Regarding your question, I really am Digga, but my real name is Dawn Melody, and I am the author of those 3 books. It felt a bit shameful for Dawn Melody to admit he was the author. So you really can do that magic? Twilight Sparkle asked. Yes, Dawn Melody nodded. But you look so small. You don't look like an old pony. I mean, you should have studied magic for many years. But you seem to be the same age as me, Twilight Sparkle exclaimed. Magic isn't that hard to learn. Low-level magic is one thing. But those high-level spells can only be used by the top unicorns. Twilight Sparkle didn't believe Dawn Melody's words. Let me demonstrate for you. Dawn Melody started to teach Twilight Sparkle how to use some simple high-level magic, using the shrinking spell as an example. Under Dawn Melody's guidance, Twilight Sparkle successfully used a high-level spell for the first time. I can't believe it. I actually succeeded. Dawn Melody, it's all thanks to your help, Twilight Sparkle said, looking at Dawn Melody, who had become very small to her. I'm not as good as you say, Dawn Melody replied, and Twilight Sparkle, who was used to hearing exaggerations, couldn't help but feel shy. The 2 young ponies then read together. Dawn Melody read from the library's books, while Twilight Sparkle read the high-level magic book written by Dawn Melody. Whenever she didn't understand something, she would ask Dawn Melody, who would clarify for her. Dawn Melody, can I be your friend? Of course, we already are, Dawn Melody replied. Can we come here to read together again tomorrow? Twilight Sparkle asked. No problem. I usually have no plans except for this weekend, Dawn Melody agreed, adding, as a classmate, it's also my responsibility to help you. We're classmates, Twilight Sparkle exclaimed. Of course, I saw you looking at that book on unicorn history down there today. Dawn Melody raised an eyebrow in confusion. Oh my gosh. Twilight Sparkle blushed and ran away. Shining Armor face-bombed in disbelief, patted Dawn Melody's head, and said, thank you for being willing to play with my sister. She has always been reluctant to interact with other ponies. Today is truly a magical day. She actually wanted to become your friend. But if he knew that Dawn Melody was a colt, he might not have been so happy. After Shining Armor finished speaking, he went to chase after Twilight Sparkle. Just as they left, Princess Celestia teleported over. Did you really make these yourself? Dawn Melody pointed at the various princess dresses. Don't mind those. You promised me you would wear them for me, didn't you? Celestia waved her hoof and smiled, while the camera floated nearby, ready to take pictures. I meant, did you make these yourself? Not these. I even saw this one displayed in a shop window on my way to school. Dawn Melody pulled out a pink fantasy princess dress. Fine, if you insist. Celestia turned around and took out an ugly dress that had every color imaginable. Red, white, yellow, green, and none of them matched. Oh, you're just too cute. Celestia tossed aside that custom-made ugly dress and had Dawn Melody try on all the dresses. Then she discovered a fatal problem. 100 photos were simply not enough. Next time, I should take 10 times more. Celestia silently put away the camera. But what excuse should I use next time to make him wear a dress? While Dawn Melody was taking off the dress, he shivered. Twilight Sparkle is yelling. I didn't even know she was my classmate. Oh, I can't face her again. Maybe my first impression wasn't very good. Just think about what I did. Ignored her self-introduction and yelled at her? Twilight Sparkle covered her head with a pillow. But thinking carefully. I will see Dawn Melody again tomorrow at school. Twilight Sparkle felt utterly hopeless. This is truly a nightmare, she exclaimed in despair. What is she freaking out about now? Princess Cadance asked Shining Armor with concern. Classmates? Princess Cadance became interested. She knew that although Twilight Sparkle was a lively and cute child in front of her, her innate intelligence and a bit of pride made it hard for her to take the initiative to interact with her peers. Sunshine, sunshine, ladybug, lazy, pat left, pat right. Wag your tail. Princess Cadance demonstrated the actions and then laid down beside Twilight Sparkle. Twilight Sparkle, why do you look so down? Smile a little, okay? Princess Cadance said. Princess Cadance, Twilight Sparkle, find it hard to talk about my feelings. Twilight Sparkle hesitated. I know, Shining Armor told me all about it. Can you tell me what kind of pony he is? Cadance asked while hugging Twilight Sparkle and gently stroking her hair. Well, Twilight Sparkle began to slowly recount what had happened today. After hearing the whole story from Twilight Sparkle, Princess Cadance suddenly remembered who the pony she was talking about was. Coincidentally, 5 days ago, when she visited Princess Celestia, she happened to see Celestia monitoring Dawn Melody. At that time, Celestia had told Cadance about the idea of helping Dawn Melody make friends, and Cadance had expressed her approval to confirm Celestia's thoughts. She just didn't expect to run into Twilight Sparkle so soon. and it seemed the two ponies were getting along well. So it's him. You seem very lucky. He just came out and became your friend, Princess Cadance said with a sigh. Princess Cadance, do you know him? Wait, why is it he? Twilight Sparkle wondered. Is the world this small? Because he's a boy. When I first met him, he was a very closed-off child who locked himself away in a tower. I'm so glad you two can be friends, Princess Cadance smiled. A year ago, she had just gotten to know Dawn Melody. He's a very self-reliant child. I heard a few days ago that he finally opened up, and I wanted to take care of him, but he personally rejected me. What? You're the best caretaker in the world. How could he refuse you? Twilight Sparkle exclaimed in surprise. As I said, because he is a strong and mature child inside. He doesn't need my care. Likewise, he won't mind if you ignored his self-introduction. The Rhythmic Princess introduced the topic, saying that if he really cared, he wouldn't have told you that his name is Dawn Melody when you met. Oh, well, but if you still care that much, just apologize to him tomorrow and invite him to hang out. I'll go with you, suggested the Rhythmic Princess. Okay, thank you, Rhythmic Princess. You are simply the best little pony in the world, Twilight Sparkle said happily. In class the next day, because Lyra Heartstrings saw a book that described humans, she became fascinated and subconsciously talked to Dawn Melody about humans, making his eyelids twitch. Twilight Sparkle couldn't find a moment to apologize to Dawn Melody, and her courage was completely exhausted while waiting for the opportunity, causing her to be distracted in class and feeling guilty, not daring to look at Dawn Melody. At 1 o'clock after school, Dawn Melody came to find Twilight Sparkle to go to the library together, which surprised her immensely. You still want to go read with me? Twilight Sparkle exclaimed in surprise. Oh, right, I said that. But yesterday, I didn't remember you were my classmate. I yelled at you, and I ignored your self-introduction. I feel really sorry for you, Twilight Sparkle stammered, and then apologized all at once. Ha ha ha. Dawn Melody was amused by Twilight Sparkle, and he finally understood how he appeared in Celestia's eyes. It was really adorable. Twilight Sparkle felt a bit flustered by Dawn Melody's laughter, not knowing why her apology made him so happy. Oh, these are just small matters. I didn't expect you to care so much about these things, but I'm really happy, Dawn Melody said, feeling that ponies were just too cute, unlike in his previous life where many appeared harmonious but were secretly manipulative, with some even being openly malicious. Happy? Twilight Sparkle asked. Because you care about my feelings, right? Dawn Melody explained. The most important thing in friendship is this. This is for you. Dawn Melody took out a thick book from his pink saddlebag. This is my new book, and I've annotated it, he said. In fact, he had given a meeting gift to every pony friend. For example, he gifted Lyra Heartstrings Anthropology since she had been talking about humans all day. He used a portal to get one for her. This is the best gift I've ever received. Thank you, Dawn Melody. You are my forever best little pony friend. Twilight Sparkle said emotionally, suddenly hugging Dawn Melody. Shining Armor, who was taking care of Spike, suddenly felt betrayed. My honor, Dawn Melody said. Are we still going to the library? Why not? Twilight Sparkle happily agreed. The two little ponies walked together toward the library, and the two princesses watched their departing figures with satisfaction. Twilight Sparkle, we have a girls' tea party this weekend. Do you want to come? Minute asked, blocking Twilight Sparkle. Lemon Hearts is in charge of planning. Besides me, there are Lyra, Shining, and Dawn Melody who will all attend. Dawn Melody is going too? Twilight Sparkle realized what she had just heard. I will go. See you this weekend, Twilight Sparkle said firmly, and then went to find Dawn Melody in the library. So did she agree? Lemon Hearts asked. Of course, and she agreed without hesitation, Minute said happily. It seems she has finally opened up to us. I think she might only have opened up to Dawn Melody, Shining commented. The three watched as Twilight Sparkle continued to joke and play with Dawn Melody, while Lyra Heartstrings clung to them. Please, tell me a little more about humans, just a bit more, Lyra Heartstrings pleaded, crawling in a dark manner, twisting. What a human addict, Dawn Melody thought silently. It seems she accepted the invitation because Dawn Melody is coming, Lemon Hearts commented. Agreed. Thus, the girls' tea party that weekend was very successful, with the three good friends chatting and gossiping for an entire afternoon. Sigh. Dawn Melody closed the book and sighed. What's wrong? Twilight Sparkle also stopped reading and turned to ask him. I finished reading the books in the library, Dawn Melody explained. Finished? Twilight Sparkle exclaimed in disbelief. Shoo. The disturbed ponies reminded Twilight Sparkle together. Oh, sorry. Twilight Sparkle shrank her neck back. Dawn Melody set up a soundproof bubble. We've only been in the library for 2 months. Twilight Sparkle couldn't believe what Dawn Melody said. That's quite a long time. Because I've been memorizing the contents of the books, Dawn Melody said casually. What does this book talk about? Twilight Sparkle randomly picked a book and asked. This one discusses the history of pony nobility etiquette. To be honest, these etiquette guides are just gathering dust in the library, Dawn Melody replied. This one, a history book? It's not much different from our textbooks. What about this one? An autobiography of a pony, but it's actually his diary. I can't believe the library would even collect such books. I still can't believe you've really read every book and that you even remember the content of each one. Twilight Sparkle continued talking as they walked. It's actually not difficult. I have a spell that assists in thinking and learning. I can teach you another day, Dawn Melody said, while also thinking about how to acquire new knowledge. Pony Maria's magical knowledge was ample, but there were only basic science books, and not many advanced ones. Twilight, I might have some things to do in the next couple of days, so just go home by yourself after school, Dawn Melody said. Oh, okay. But is there anything I can help you with? Twilight Sparkle asked. I can handle it myself, and besides, starting tomorrow, Princess Celestia is going to start teaching you, right? You better prepare well, Dawn Melody winked. Oh, right. How could I forget about that? What should I do? If I don't perform well, will she not recognize me as her student? Twilight Sparkle panicked, as the happy times of reading with Dawn Melody made her forget everything else. Hey, relax. She's never been a very strict teacher. The basic knowledge I've taught you is enough to handle her. Dawn Melody comforted her with a smile. How do you know that? Twilight Sparkle asked. Actually, I might still count as your senior. I called her teacher 3 years ago, Dawn Melody explained. So that's why you're so excellent. Oh my gosh, what should I do? I'll never be able to meet the expectations she has for her students. Clearly, Dawn Melody's comfort only made Twilight Sparkle more anxious. You need to know that your innate magic is very powerful. Even the princess has acknowledged this. Just like why I changed my magic to be less energy-consuming. I can't compare to you in terms of magic, Dawn Melody reassured her. And your understanding isn't any worse than mine, right? Despite how anxious Twilight Sparkle might be. The lessons from Princess Celestia were set to begin, actually starting ahead of schedule. A month of companionship with Dawn Melody had allowed her to understand basic magic thoroughly. So Dawn Melody suggested that Celestia teach a lesson early. The reason for this was that he knew Celestia often took breaks from her duties to keep an eye on him. And he was now preparing to open a portal to another world, which Celestia must not discover. He needed her to focus entirely on giving private lessons to Twilight Sparkle. The next day after school, Dawn Melody arrived at the laboratory, which was already equipped with a crystal ball interferer. Now, even if Celestia took a sudden glance, she could only see him sleeping. At the same time, he prepared a mirror and a theme song from a Marvel movie. The mirror was very convenient for storing the jump portal. As long as he inputted the magic, he could open a passage, and if there was trouble, breaking the mirror would destroy the portal. The Marvel theme song began to play softly, and Dawn Melody confirmed that he could go to the Marvel movie world, where the technology was temporarily sufficient for him to learn. A beam of light flashed from the mirror, losing its shine and becoming chaotic and blurry. And Dawn Melody knew he had succeeded. He leaned in, found it pitch black inside, stretched out his hoof, and then fell from the ceiling. On the other side, Tony was waking up from a hangover. Sir, detection shows you are currently exhibiting symptoms of a hangover. You should eat some easily digestible food and drink a glass of water and rest well, Jarvis said. No, I'm fine. And get me a Coke and a cheeseburger. Tony replied, holding his head. What was I doing yesterday? Tony asked. You were testing the thrust system, and I detected an unknown life form in the lab. Its temperature is within normal range, identified as a horse-like creature, but with significant differences from a regular horse, possessing a horn, resembling a unicorn from stories, Jarvis said. Unicorn? Tony pulled up the surveillance footage, and a small pony appeared on the screen, its horn very conspicuous. I might really need to relax. How could I have such a dream? Tony said. Sir, should I alert the authorities? Jarvis asked. No need, Tony said confidently. As he didn't believe such a small creature could pose a threat to him, armed with a carbon-based biological annihilator. Jarvis, turn on the lights. Just as Dawn Melody arrived and shook his dazed head, the lights turned on and dazzled his eyes. When he opened them again, he saw a person keeping a distance from him, holding a gun. Hey, little thing, this is not a place for you. Come here. Tony instructed Jarvis to prepare a cage. Then he planned to lead Dawn Melody over. Tony Stark, Dawn Melody recognized who he was. You can talk. I must still be dreaming. If I had known, I wouldn't have drunk so much. Tony was startled by Dawn Melody's sudden words, and at the same time, his hangover headache began to flare up again. Seeing the somewhat neurotic Tony, Dawn Melody cast a spell that hit Tony directly. What is this? Tony was startled by the sudden light and instinctively fired a shot at Dawn Melody, but it was blocked. Calm down, Tony. This will help you feel better, Dawn Melody said calmly. The panicked Tony felt the dizziness and headache from the hangover slowly fading away. Oh, all right, little thing, what exactly are you? Tony felt that every second of Dawn Melody's existence challenged his scientific views. A product of a mad scientist? Or a horse-like Terminator? Don't tell me you're a unicorn. I'm not a pure virgin. I'm not even a female. First of all, I am a unicorn, Dawn Melody replied. So that thing you just shot out? A wake-up magic. I use it when I stay up late. Very effective. After a friendly exchange, Tony finally understood Dawn Melody's purpose and temporarily accepted the existence of Dawn Melody and magic. Jarvis can help you organize the materials you need, but you have to give me a shot when I need it, Tony joked, genuinely curious about everything about Dawn Melody. I'm still a child by age. Don't make inappropriate jokes, Dawn Melody said with a stern face. Really? I can't tell, Tony waved his hand. But I'm quite suspicious whether your little head can understand what you need to learn, he said, poking Dawn Melody's head. You don't need to worry about that. I have magic that can enhance your wisdom, Dawn Melody said with a serious face, feeling that Tony's early behavior was rather frivolous. So impressive. Then there won't be any problems. After all, there's my boost, Tony said arrogantly. You should know that I have my own wisdom as a bonus. Your current IQ is not higher than mine, Dawn Melody retorted. That must mean my wisdom accounts for 99. Only 20. The two of them argued like children. In the days that followed, Dawn Melody would come to the Marvel world to learn the knowledge organized by Jarvis, while Celestia was giving lessons to Twilight Sparkle. He learned quickly, and Tony would casually demonstrate how to operate while experimenting with the Iron Man suit. Dawn Melody gradually progressed from merely helping him screw things together to being able to assist in making some parts. Although Tony didn't say it. He took good care of Dawn Melody, who guessed that it might be because he was reshaped by the essence of harmony, causing every creature that saw him to have a certain fondness for him. That's why Tony would stop to listen to him. During the second visit, Tony noted that Dawn Melody said he would come in a week, but only a day had passed when Dawn Melody came over again. Thus, in the following experiments, Dawn Melody discovered that the flow rate between the two worlds was not only inconsistent, but also very unstable. Only when he was in this world could the flow rates on both sides reach consistency. Sometimes it could be 3 days, sometimes just an hour, continuously changing within this interval. Dawn Melody couldn't help but think of a scene where marbles were packed in a plastic bag, and he began to have some guesses. Soon, with Dawn Melody's help, Tony's Mark II armor began its test flight. Because Dawn Melody had mentioned the issue of icing at high altitudes in advance, Tony didn't get frozen in the air this time. Hey, do you like this toy? Unfortunately, I don't have a small pony to wear it. Especially not one as young as you, Tony said, still annoying. No need. I can make my own, Dawn Melody insisted, but he was still very envious. After all, which boy could refuse a cool Iron Man suit? Well, Tony didn't say anything wrong. He could only wait until he grew up and stabilized before he could start making the Iron Man suit. Compared to nanotech, he preferred the feeling of steel merging with steel. However, once he had nanotech, he would definitely prepare one. Then, as Tony was slowly descending, he underestimated the weight of the suit and crashed directly into the lower parking lot, crushing a car. Hey, Tony, do you need help? Ha ha. Dawn Melody poked his head out of the hole and mercilessly laughed at Tony. Really not cute, Tony retorted. Watching Dawn Melody use magic to repair the hole and the car, as well as heal his bruises, he twisted his arm and said, no matter how many times I see it, it still feels absurd. Tony had taken the time to test Dawn Melody's magic, but strangely, he couldn't find anything. It was as if it didn't exist at all. By the way, here, take this. Dawn Melody took out a walkie-talkie. What is this for baby troops? Tony stared at the walkie-talkie. No, this is my cross-dimensional walkie-talkie. It can temporarily open a crack in the portal using magic to transmit signals. Dawn Melody explained. I can't come over recently. My mom has already noticed my unusual behavior. If there's something, just use this to contact me. Another magical gadget. Fine. Just leave it on that table, Jarvis. Tony quipped, then asked Jarvis to deliver the item. I made something you can use. I have no use for it. So take it, Tony said, completely oblivious to the illogicality of his words. It's a phone personally designed by the master. Oh no, it's a hoof machine. Filled with a lot of information you need, said Jarvis. Jarvis, Tony exclaimed in frustration. Oh, thank you, this is what I need. Dawn Melody hugged the proud Tony's leg and then jumped into the portal, waving her hoof. See you, Tony. Bye, little mama's boy, Tony chuckled. After Dawn Melody left, Tony put the walkie-talkie she sent into his inner shirt and quietly walked out of the workshop. Just as he said, Celestia had already noticed his odd behavior. He had clearly underestimated Celestia's frequency of spying on him. Even while giving private lessons to Twilight Sparkle, she would often sneak a peek at what he was doing. Chapter 7. 6 years, the walkie-talkie's distress signaled Dawn Melody's feeling was right. In the following time, Celestia kept a close watch on her, even making her participate when teaching Twilight Sparkle, which left Dawn Melody speechless. However, Twilight Sparkle was quite happy. Somehow, it ended up with Dawn Melody teaching Twilight Sparkle. As Celestia realized that Twilight was always very nervous around her, causing her to believe whatever Celestia said without any other thoughts. When Dawn Melody was teaching Twilight Sparkle, Twilight would always come up with one or two brilliant ideas, which made Celestia feel like a failure as a mother and a teacher. Thinking of the lingering sunset, she felt even more defeated. But there is a benefit, right? They have become closer. Celestia still gloomily took a bite of her cake. As Dawn Melody grew up, Celestia's monitoring frequency gradually decreased. At least she wasn't watching every day. Dawn Melody would copy the information from the hoof machine into books every night after Celestia fell asleep, so she could study in the library during the day. Over the 6 years, Dawn Melody's size had also slowly increased. She was no longer a small foal. In the 6th year, Dawn Melody's walkie-talkie sent an emergency distress signal, a little mechanism she had set up. If the walkie-talkie was damaged, it would release all the magic inside at once, then open a portal to send a signal. However, to prevent accidental activation, the exterior was still made of metal. What happened? Dawn Melody thought anxiously. Could it be Thanos attacking? She felt she should at least take a look. So she told a confused Twilight Sparkle and left alone. Dawn Melody opened the portal and stepped inside. She arrived at the scene, finding it in ruins. And Tony was slumped among the debris. Dawn Melody cast a healing spell, and Tony groggily woke up, clearly still inebriated, so she cast another spell to refresh him. As Tony felt that familiar sensation, he quickly became alert and saw Dawn Melody in front of him. Ugh, I always seem to see you when I'm drunk, Tony sighed. Then made a camera gesture with his hands. You seem to have grown a lot. I guess your mom's food is pretty good. 6 years? It's only been 6 months for me. Maybe the next time we meet, I'll have to call you uncle. Tony struggled to open his armor. The recent impact had damaged many structures, and then he felt the walkie-talkie inside his shirt, which had a hole in its casing. What happened? Dawn Melody asked. Nothing. What could happen to me? Tony stubbornly replied. Dawn Melody didn't let him off the hook and directly cast a detection spell. You've been poisoned? Dawn Melody revealed Tony's hidden secret. More precisely, it's palladium poisoning, and the source of the poison is this. Tony resignedly pointed to the arc reactor in his chest. So that's how it is, Dawn Melody finally remembered. This was exactly how Iron Man 2 began, where the palladium in Tony's chest reactor was radioactive. And he had no choice but to use the reactor to prevent the shrapnel in his blood from reaching his heart, ultimately leading to a chronic death situation. Dawn Melody stepped forward, using her horn to touch the reactor and released magic. After all, movies are movies, this is the real world. And she couldn't bear to watch her friend suffer. Tony's body glowed, and then a light circle enveloped the reactor before finally disappearing. What is this? I suddenly feel much better. Tony noticed that the bulging veins on his forehead had subsided. Sir, the detected palladium content in your body has been reduced to harmless levels. Jarvis reported. What a magical spell. Tony scoffed, then was unceremoniously bumped by Dawn Melody's hoof. I only temporarily sealed the palladium's radiation. It's just treating the symptoms, not the root cause, and I can't do anything about those little fragments in your blood. You need to quickly find a replacement, Dawn Melody said. I've tried every element. Tony shook his head helplessly. Come on, aren't you the great Uncle Tony? You can definitely find a way, Dawn Melody encouraged. It's easy for you to say. Why don't you conjure up some magical spell to tell me how to create a new element? Tony retorted. Actually, I do have one, Dawn Melody said. Oh, damn otherworldly magic. How amazing. Tony exclaimed excitedly. Come on, cast the spell. Do we need a magic circle? No, it's just a small prophecy spell. As she spoke, Dawn Melody's horn glowed, but in reality, she couldn't predict, at least not in the Marvel world, but she knew the plot. Anyway, Tony didn't know magic. She could just use a lighting spell to pretend. What was the result? Tony asked impatiently. The prophecy says to maintain the status quo. The solution will arrive shortly with a black pickled egg, Dawn Melody said. A black pickled egg? Tony scoffed. Am I supposed to discover a new element while having dinner in Chinatown? That's less reliable than finding out the lady I'm dating is a new element discoverer. Tony slowly got up, his spirits lifting as he realized he had such a powerful friend supporting him. How could he continue to wallow in despair? Just as Dawn Melody stepped out of the mirror, she ran into Twilight Sparkle. Haha, Twilight Sparkle, what are you doing here? Dawn Melody hurriedly came out and asked nervously. This is a long-distance teleportation device. Yes, I just used it to go to a faraway place. Dawn Melody lied casually. Do you really not know how obvious you are when you lie? Twilight Sparkle, having been with Dawn Melody for many years, could predict her little actions. Hurry up and tell me, or I'll have to go find the teacher, Twilight Sparkle threatened. Wait, I'll tell you. But you have to promise me you won't tell Princess Celestia. Dawn Melody raised a white flag in surrender. I promise you, Twilight Sparkle. Very curious about what magical trick Dawn Melody was hiding, readily agreed. It's a world-crossing magic, Dawn Melody said truthfully. Chapter 8. New element constructed with the essence of harmony. What? Twilight Sparkle exclaimed in surprise. Princess Celestia said this magic is very dangerous. Frequent crossing can cause the two worlds to collide. Why would she tell you that? But mine is different. Dawn Melody explained that I am connected to a world completely different from the pony world, and the two cannot connect at all. Really? Twilight Sparkle said skeptically. Dawn Melody nodded madly. Can I go with you next time? Twilight Sparkle's eyes sparkled. She wanted to see the books from the other world. This should be fine, right? Dawn Melody thought for a moment and felt she could agree. After all, she was appearing in Tony's basement, and he didn't have to deal with all sorts of villains. Plus, it was just for a little while. Surely there couldn't be any dangerous situations? So this weekend, you come here to find me. If Celestia asks, just say you came to study with me. Dawn Melody instructed Twilight Sparkle. Take these to look at first. I need to modify a few things. Dawn Melody handed the copied books to Twilight Sparkle and then began to modify the magic array image. After all, she had to fool Celestia's crystal ball, and she also had to postpone her plan to go back tomorrow. These sayings I've never seen before. Is this the knowledge of another world? Twilight Sparkle said excitedly. This weekend, Twilight Sparkle arrived at the castle early and just happened to bump into Dawn Melody and Celestia having breakfast. Good morning, Twilight Sparkle. It's rare to see you at this time, Celestia said with a smile. Good morning, teacher. I came to find Dawn Melody for academic research, right? Twilight Sparkle forced a smile. She always got nervous when she was hiding something from her teacher. Celestia smiled. Then I should take my leave and let you two have some time. With that, Celestia hurriedly walked out. After all, the ponies had weekends off, but she could not. Goodbye, teacher. Twilight Sparkle sighed in relief as she watched Celestia leave, then excitedly said to Dawn Melody, let's go quickly. I can't wait to see. Before she could finish her sentence, Dawn Melody covered her mouth with her hoof. Don't say it here, Dawn Melody reminded her. Twilight Sparkle nodded, unconsciously licking Dawn Melody's hoof. And watched the drool. Dawn Melody wiped it off, causing Twilight Sparkle to blush. Then Dawn Melody took Twilight Sparkle to the teleportation portal, activated it with magic, and held onto Twilight Sparkle's hoof as they walked in. As soon as Twilight Sparkle entered, she found herself weightless and falling down, but a soft cushion caught her. Welcome, Mr. Dawn Melody. Jarvis's voice rang out, and the basement lights turned on one by one. And, Miss Twilight Sparkle, Dawn Melody introduced. I see. Welcome, Miss Twilight Sparkle. I can't believe what I'm seeing. These machines are so much better than what I make myself, Twilight Sparkle exclaimed. While Twilight Sparkle was excitedly asking questions, Tony, who was in the middle of dismantling things, also received a notification from Jarvis. Sir, Mr. Dawn Melody has arrived. Oh, just in time. Dismantling these things is exhausting me, Tony said, putting down his hammer and exhaling. He also brought a unicorn lady named Twilight Sparkle, Jarvis said. He brought his mother? Tony casually remarked. According to their interaction pattern, not really, sir, Jarvis replied. All right then. Tony took off his gloves. Looks like our little unicorn is quite serious about her crush. With that, he went to the basement to greet the two ponies. All right, Twilight, we should go find Tony now. Dawn Melody pulled Twilight Sparkle to head upstairs. No need. I'm coming down, Tony called as he walked down the stairs. Twilight Sparkle looked at Tony and gasped. Dawn, it's a human, she exclaimed. Then hid behind Dawn Melody, staring at Tony. Well, I didn't expect to get a gasp for this. Tony crossed his arms, feeling a bit uneasy under Twilight Sparkle's gaze. And you ponies have such varied colors, he gestured, saying. Is it diverse? Well, I haven't seen purple before, Tony said. Tony Stark, Miss Twilight Sparkle. He introduced himself to her. All right, Twilight Sparkle, you've read books, you know how to greet people. She mustered the courage and said, I'm Twilight Sparkle, and oh, I like to eat fried hay. And the cakes made by Dawn Melody. What about you? Oh, little cakes, Tony teased, glancing at Dawn Melody, and casually said, cheeseburgers. Oh, I also like hamburgers. My favorite is the licorice and honeysuckle filling. How about you? Twilight Sparkle said happily, feeling that her conversation was going well. At least she quickly found a common topic. Beef? Tony said uncertainly. Beef, good beef. Twilight Sparkle exclaimed again, then quickly ran behind Dawn Melody to hide. Didn't I say not to talk about these topics? Ponies don't kill or eat meat, Dawn Melody complained to Tony. But you said your farms raise livestock, Tony countered. We only eat unfertilized eggs and milk. Pigs are used to help us find truffles, Dawn Melody added, then began to comfort Twilight Sparkle. Humans must eat these meats to replenish nutrients. You don't need to be afraid. They want to eat intelligent species. Dawn Melody patted Twilight Sparkle's head. Oh, sorry. I reacted a bit too much, Twilight Sparkle apologized to Tony. It's fine. It's just another reason I didn't expect to get gasps from others. Usually, people gasp because I'm a genius and a billionaire, Tony remarked, finding Twilight Sparkle quite interesting, but he wouldn't overly tease a little girl. All right, stop flirting with your little girlfriend. Come up, I have another task for you to help with. Tony walked up, urging Dawn Melody to follow. After going up a level, they found the place in complete disarray. Of course, not thanks to my father. I'm about to make a new element, Tony said, also thanks to your prophecy. The method indeed came knocking, and the black egg was very vivid. No need to thank me. We're friends, Dawn Melody smiled. Now a friend needs your magical help. First, help me break that wall down. Tony began directing Dawn Melody to set up the conditions he needed. What is this? Twilight Sparkle asked. A particle collider. Tony casually replied. I need to step back to a safe distance. Tony put on protective goggles as a high-energy laser emitted from the machine in front of him, cutting through several cabinets, and he adjusted the wrench to focus the beam on the triangular object in the center. It will succeed, Tony said confidently. But then the unexpected happened. Sir, resonance detected, Jarvis suddenly alerted, originating from the layer directly below. This is not good. The teleportation portal. Dawn Melody realized that the ceiling of the layer directly below was precisely where the teleportation portal was located, but why would it resonate with the new element? Dawn Melody decisively cut off the magic supply to the teleportation portal, but the energy reaction of the new element was still increasing, about to explode at any moment. Without time to think, Dawn Melody instinctively shot out magic. The power of the harmony element was released alongside the magic, and the power named Hope gradually calmed the violent energy reaction and began to merge into it, giving birth to an even newer element based on the new element. After doing all this, Dawn Melody fainted due to exhaustion of magic, and Twilight Sparkle hurriedly supported her, letting her lean on herself. What is wrong with him? Tony asked worriedly. Everything happened too fast, and he didn't even have time to stop it. Magic and stamina are both depleted. Now we can only wait for him to recover slowly. Twilight Sparkle adjusted Dawn Melody's position to make her lie more comfortably. Normally, this shouldn't happen. Exhaustion of magic should only cause weakness. Jarvis. Scanning indicates that Mr. Dawn Melody's body is in a state of excessive fatigue. Let us move him to the sofa downstairs, Tony said, and then Twilight Sparkle used magic to place Dawn Melody on the sofa downstairs. After confirming that Dawn Melody was fine, Tony went to the newly created element. Sir, congratulations on creating a new element, Jarvis said. Yeah, he worked really hard, Tony replied, then placed it into the reactor. The reactor emitted a blue-green light, and the glow flickered with Tony's changing emotions. It was truly amazing. Clearly, nothing could be detected, yet changes were happening. Tony had lost count of how many times he had marveled at this. Sir, the energy output of the new element is sufficient to support, and it can serve as a substitute for palladium, Jarvis concluded after a simple test. Thus, a more powerful Iron Man, the idealistic Iron Man, was born. Chapter 9. Exposed. When Dawn Melody woke up again, it was already the next morning. He saw Twilight Sparkle sleeping beside him, and his heart felt warm. However, Jarvis's words chilled his heart. Mr. Dawn Melody, you're awake. Given that you've been unconscious for a day, do you need me to get some salad? Jarvis asked kindly. Wait, I've been asleep for a day? Dawn Melody exclaimed, inadvertently waking Twilight Sparkle. Hey Dawn, you're awake. You used too much magic power before. You should rest more now. There's no time to rest. Celestia might have already noticed we're missing. Dawn Melody briefly explained the time difference between the two worlds when the portal closed. What? Twilight Sparkle's face twisted, pulling Dawn Melody toward the portal. After they passed through the mirror, they found that there seemed to be no change. Phew, maybe we just happened to hit a slower time difference. What luck? What is wrong, Twilight? Dawn Melody said to himself, completely unaware that Twilight Sparkle was already sweating profusely beside him, pulling him along. Mr. Dawn Melody and Miss Twilight Sparkle. You both must give me an explanation, Celestia said angrily. The crystal ball interference magic circle, you can find this kind of magic too. You really went to great lengths to hide it from me. Celestia smashed the magic circle with one kick. Dawn Melody, feeling guilty, couldn't utter a word, with primal fear settling in his heart. It's all my fault, teacher. It's because of my curiosity. Twilight Sparkle wanted to take the blame, but Celestia's glare made her speechless. Now what do you have to say? Celestia asked. My student may be very curious, but she wouldn't arbitrarily open a portal to another world for this reason. I admit. It was my mistake. Dawn Melody lowered his head. Twilight bumped into me when I came out of the portal. To prevent her from telling you. Am I that terrifying? Celestia shed tears. I know. Since I adopted you, you've been taking care of yourself. I haven't fulfilled my responsibilities as a mother, but I feel we shouldn't be calculating like enemies. No, you are already a great mother. Dawn Melody hugged Celestia. It's my own concept that hasn't changed. You can punish me however you want. I will never open these portals again. The concept from his past life made him conceal dangerous things from Celestia, and he never expected this would hurt her more. I have never opposed you opening these portals connecting worlds because that is a reflection of your lovely nature. I cannot suppress your instincts, Celestia sighed. I just hope that when you do these things, you can let me know so I can support you, rather than hiding it from me and leaving me unable to save you when something happens. Dawn Melody's throat became very dry, unable to speak, only holding her tighter. He deeply felt the warmth and stability brought by a mother, just like the vow she made 9 years ago. Promise me, my child, don't hide anything from me. I promise you, Mom. On the other side, Twilight Sparkle, worried and held by Suiryu, calmed Suiryu down, but couldn't find peace in her heart. She couldn't believe what would happen to Dawn Melody facing Celestia's wrath alone. What if he gets exiled to the moon? Twilight Sparkle exclaimed, then pushed open the door, knocking over the shining armor in front of her, and ran towards the castle with Suiryu on her back. By the time the shining armor got up, Twilight Sparkle had already disappeared. When did she get so strong? The shining armor rubbed its sore chest and decided to wait for her at her house since it couldn't catch up. Princess Celestia, please don't exile Dawn Melody to the moon. Twilight Sparkle burst into the dining room, startling Celestia, who was enjoying feeding Dawn Melody. Twilight Sparkle, what are you doing here? What exile to the moon? Celestia said, but she didn't stop feeding Dawn Melody, who was blushing under Twilight Sparkle's direct gaze. Twilight Sparkle was shocked by the scene before her, and after she calmed down, Suiryu said honestly, she is worried that you might be too angry with Dawn Melody and exile him to the moon. Haha. Celestia finally stopped feeding, while Dawn Melody chose to cover his head with his hands, burying himself in his chest. I am indeed very angry, after all. You two hid such potentially dangerous things from me, Celestia said. But this is just a mother's love for her child. I would never exile my child to the moon. Mentioning the moon, Celestia's expression darkened for a moment. He is your son, Twilight Sparkle exclaimed in surprise. Did he not tell you? Although I intentionally didn't announce it back then to help him make friends, I thought after all these years, he would have told you, given you two are basically inseparable. Celestia said, equally surprised. He told me he considers me his senior. Twilight Sparkle complained. Well, Mr. Dawn Melody, it seems you have not been honest with me either. Celestia narrowed her eyes slightly, and Twilight Sparkle's gaze became sharp. Dawn Melody, who had been playing dead, could no longer keep up the act and retorted. I only stated part of the truth. Celestia ignored this and brought out a large pile of muffins from the kitchen. My good student, are you interested in helping me punish the naughty child and make him a good child? Celestia said gently to Twilight Sparkle. Of course, Twilight Sparkle agreed without hesitation. So, while Suiryu ate muffins, he watched the two shove a pile of muffins into Dawn Melody's mouth. And Celestia was telling Twilight Sparkle about the embarrassing moments Dawn Melody had when he first came to Equestria. He silently thought, this is so embarrassing, and decided not to do anything that would make Twilight Sparkle angry in the future. Chapter 10. The main plot officially begins. Ah, what a pleasant break. Twilight Sparkle leisurely flipped through a book. Dawn Melody said he was going to make a gift today, so he couldn't read with her, and she chose to have a picnic alone while browsing ancient books. The sister had to defeat her sister with the elements of harmony, banishing her to the moon while controlling the sun and moon, allowing all the ponies to enjoy harmony forever. Twilight Sparkle read, banished to the moon? The elements of harmony? I feel like I've seen that somewhere, but where? Hey, Twilight Sparkle, finally found you. There's a small gathering at the west side of the castle today. Do you know who is coming? Shining Armor said. Sorry, I have a lot of things to study right now. See you, huh? Twilight Sparkle awkwardly smiled and quickly ran past the three of them towards home. I should just tell her that Dawn Melody is over there helping with the setup. Shining Bright raised her hoof and turned to say, oh, I'm so silly. I really thought she would accept the invitation because she wanted to communicate with us. But I didn't expect she only wanted to communicate with books and Dawn Melody. Minity said, forget it, Dawn Melody is already at the party. She will definitely come. Let's head over first. Lemonheart said. So they walked towards the west side of the castle. Meanwhile, Twilight Sparkle burst through the door and accidentally knocked over Spike, who was getting ready for the party. The gift Spike had prepared for Moondancer's birthday got pierced by his tail. What is that? Twilight Sparkle asked. This is a gift for Moondancer, but now. Spike took the gift off his tail, and a small bear that had been pierced fell out. It looked like they could only find Dawn Melody to fix it. Oh, right, Dawn Melody said. There's no time for that. Quickly help me find a book on the prophecies of Pony Maria. Twilight Sparkle anxiously searched, but none of the books were the one she was looking for. Although it's break time. Okay, Spike pulled out the prophecy book. It's right here. Great, Spike. Twilight Sparkle opened the book and turned to the page recording the element of harmony. Huh. Found it, the element of harmony, and the moon mare. When Twilight Sparkle turned to the page of the moon mare, She finally remembered when she had seen it. It was when she saw this prophecy that she worried Dawn Melody would be banished to the moon and went to find her, only to end up staying overnight at the castle. The Moon Mare comes from ancient legends. She once tried to rule Ponyland, but was defeated by the element of harmony, and thus imprisoned on the moon. The legend says that on the longest day of the millennium, the stars will help her escape and bring eternal night. Spike, do you know what this means? Twilight Sparkle calculated, realizing that the longest day of the millennium was not far away, just the day after tomorrow. Spike fell from the ladder onto Twilight Sparkle's back. Help me write a letter to Princess Celestia, Spike, Twilight Sparkle instructed. Spike pulled out a pen and paper from somewhere and began to write down Twilight Sparkle's words. My dear teacher, Twilight Sparkle begins to narrate the conclusions she drew from ancient texts and hopes Celestia can be prepared. All right, send it out, Twilight Sparkle said with satisfaction. This matter is very important. My teacher will definitely believe me. Twilight Sparkle asserted. See, my teacher has never been absent-minded when it comes to the safety of the nation. Spike had already started reading the letter. My dear student, I greatly admire your diligence and effort, but please do not always delve into those dusty old books. My teacher doesn't believe me, Twilight Sparkle shouted. I have to find Dawn Melody. He will definitely believe me. But where is he now? He should be in the garden on the west side of the castle, Spike said. Thanks, Spike. After hearing this, Twilight Sparkle dashed out. Hey, I haven't finished reading the letter yet, Spike shouted, but seeing it had no effect, he could only chase after her with the damaged bear. Thank you for helping me set up the party, Dawn Melody, Moondancer said to Dawn Melody. But where is Twilight Sparkle? You said she would come with you. Oh, about that. Actually, the princess has given her some assignments that have made her, quite frantic lately, so she might have lost track of time, but she will come. Trust me. I'll go inside to get some more balloons for the setup. Dawn Melody wiped the sweat from her forehead and said expressionlessly, but inside. She was panicking. Why hasn't Spike brought Twilight Sparkle over yet? But there are already a lot of balloons here, Moondancer said, looking at the balloon-filled party. However, Dawn Melody had already gone inside. Moondancer, we're here. Hey, welcome. Moondancer said happily, then asked, but have you seen Twilight Sparkle? Actually, we ran into her. But Lemonheart was just about to say that Twilight Sparkle was busy looking for Dawn Melody when a voice broke through the air. Dawn Melody. Twilight Sparkle appeared in the distance. Hey, she's here. Moondancer said happily and went to greet her. Twilight, I'm so glad you could come to my party. Would you like some apple juice? Moondancer said excitedly. That is not important. Twilight Sparkle panted. What? Moondancer thought she heard wrong. I said that is not important. Where is Dawn Melody now? All right. He's inside. Go find him. Moondancer said sadly and ran away. Twilight Sparkle ignored this and went straight inside to find Dawn Melody and hugged his leg. Twilight Sparkle. Oh, you finally made it. Moondancer has been asking when you would arrive, Dawn Melody said, startled, and then happily when she realized it was Twilight Sparkle. That is not important, Dawn Melody. You have to help me persuade Princess Celestia. If Nightmare Moon really escapes from the moon the day after tomorrow and we're unprepared, we will face a catastrophe, and the world could fall into eternal darkness. Twilight Sparkle said in one breath. What? Dawn Melody expressed that she hadn't really heard what she just said because she spoke too fast. I said, Twilight Sparkle, slow down and explain the reason clearly. And Dawn Melody remembered that this was the plot of the first episode of My Little Pony. Hey, listen, Twilight, you need to relax. Mom never ignores things like this. You need to trust her arrangements. Dawn Melody patted Twilight Sparkle's back to comfort her. Huff, huff, huff. Oh my gosh, this journey has been too unfriendly to me. At that moment, Spike finally ran in with his short legs. There are ponies outside looking for you. Dawn Melody and Twilight Sparkle went outside to find two Royal Pegasus guards waiting outside with a carriage. Is this Mr. Dawn Melody and Ms. Twilight Sparkle? One of the Pegasi confirmed. Dawn Melody and Twilight Sparkle nodded. Very well. We are under the orders of Princess Celestia to escort you to Ponyville. Please get in the carriage. The Royal Guard said. What? Twilight Sparkle exclaimed in surprise. Chapter 11. Ponyville on the carriage heading to Ponyville. Spike read the unfinished letter aloud. Spike raised an eyebrow at Twilight Sparkle and continued reading. Make a few friends. I agree with that, Dawn Melody said in agreement. Hey, am I not your best friend? Twilight Sparkle retorted. We are best friends, yes, but Dawn Melody said with a conflicted expression. But when you interact with others, you act completely like a puppet. In fact, I heard how Dawn Melody said you two met. To be blunt, if it weren't for that misunderstanding, you might never have met. Spike added, seeing Twilight Sparkle getting more and more deflated by what he said. He quickly comforted her. But hey, cheer up. Princess Celestia has allowed you to stay in the library. I know, because I am right, but none of you believe me. I will find evidence to prove I am right after I finish my work. Twilight Sparkle said fiercely. She had just been a bit defensive. What about the task the princess gave you to make friends? Spike asked, and just then, they arrived at Ponyville. The princess assigned me to inspect the work. As her student, I naturally have to fulfill my responsibilities, but this is about saving the fate of the kingdom and making a few friends once he solve it. Twilight Sparkle mumbled as she got off the carriage, then said to the royal guards, "Thanks, gentlemen." As soon as Dawn Melody got off, she saw a pink pony bouncing over. "Hey, a lone pony. Come on, Twilight. This is a great opportunity to chat. At least give it a try." Dawn Melody encouraged. "Yeah, give it a try. Maybe she'll tell you something interesting." Spike also encouraged, "All right, if you insist." Twilight Sparkle had no choice but to comply. And just then a pink pony stopped in front of them. Hello?" Twilight Sparkle said, gathering her courage. Pinkie Pie jumped up and shouted, then flew away, leaving two ponies and a dragon dumbfounded. Dawn Melody remarked, "Seeing it in real life is so much more shocking. A land pony can really fly, even though I've tried." "It was a total mess," Twilight Sparkle said curiously. "Now let's start the inspection." "All right, Spike, stop reciting so much. Just tell us what to do and where to go." Dawn Melody said. "Okay, we need to go to Sweet Apple Acres to inspect the preparations for the celebration banquet," Spike said. "Sweet Apple Acres, let's go," Twilight Sparkle said. Soon, they arrived at Sweet Apple Acres, and as soon as they entered, they heard a yellow pony wearing a cowboy hat shout, "Yeah." She kicked her hind legs hard, and all the apples from the tree fell into the wooden barrels placed below. "Perfect technique," Dawn Melody commented. "Stop just praising others. Let's go meet her first." Twilight Sparkle sighed. "Hello, I'm Twilight Sparkle, and this is Dawn Melody." "We are," Twilight Sparkle introduced. But Applejack directly grabbed the hooves of both ponies and started resonating. "Hello, Twilight Sparkle, Dawn Melody. Nice to meet you. I'm Applejack. Do you like making new friends? How can I help you?" Applejack said excitedly. "Oh, then you found the right pony. Want to taste a bit early?" Applejack asked. "Of course. I haven't eaten anything after staying in the carriage for a night," Dawn Melody answered first, then asked, "What about you, Twilight?" "Sure, but don't take too long. We have a lot of work to do," Twilight Sparkle nodded. Then Applejack ran like the wind to ring a triangle. "Ponies, it's time to eat," Applejack shouted. And then the Apple family ponies swarmed in, lifting the two ponies and the dragon to the dining table. "Okay, let me introduce you to our Apple family members." "No, we don't have much time," Twilight Sparkle refused. But Applejack didn't care and just kept listing. "This is apple pie, apple bread, apple muffins, red mousse, golden mousse, caramel apples." For every relative's name she mentioned, they placed the corresponding food on the table, stacking it into a small mountain. She took a deep breath and continued, "Mactosh, Little Bloom, and Granny Smith. Wake up, Granny Smith. We have guests." Applejack stuffed an apple into the mouths of both Dawn Melody and Twilight Sparkle, and Dawn Melody swallowed it smoothly. "So delicious," Dawn Melody exclaimed. The apples from Sweet Apple Acres were really crunchy and sweet. "What's going on?" "All right, I'm coming," Granny Smith mumbled as she walked over. "Hey, I feel like we're already family." Applejack hugged Twilight Sparkle and Dawn Melody with her forelegs. "Hey, you know what? We should go." "Dawn Melody, one apple is enough for you." Twilight Sparkle couldn't stand it and decided to leave. "What? I'm starving." Dawn Melody wanted to try more food. "Won't you stay for a meal?" Apple Bloom looked at Twilight Sparkle with puppy eyes, and all the members of the Apple family looked at her with hopeful eyes. "All right." Twilight Sparkle compromised. "Yay." Twilight Sparkle, with a big belly, struggled to come out of the apple orchard with Dawn Melody's support. "Ugh, I ate too much apple pie," Twilight Sparkle said, turning to look at Dawn Melody and asked, "You clearly ate much more than I did. How come you're fine?" Dawn Melody turned to look at the spinning straw hat emblem on her backside, and Twilight Sparkle understood. "You brought that backpack just to eat more with the discs?" Twilight Sparkle said incredulously. "Haha. After all, there are so many varieties. I wanted to try each one," Dawn Melody said shyly. "But I also brought these discs to deal with some emergencies." "Yeah, like this sudden banquet. You really have a royal demeanor," Twilight Sparkle teased. "All right, Spike, what's next?" Dawn Melody changed the topic, and Twilight Sparkle rolled her eyes, shifting her weight onto Dawn Melody. Dawn Melody simply carried Twilight Sparkle on her back. "Next is the weather, which is handled by a pony named Rainbow Dash." But Spike checked the list and looked up at the sky. "She seems to be absent. Looks like she isn't taking her job seriously, is she?" Twilight Sparkle said, looking at the cloud-filled sky. Then, in the next second, a rainbow-colored figure crashed into Dawn Melody and Twilight Sparkle, and the three ponies fell into a mud puddle, looking very messy, with Dawn Melody's records flying everywhere. The pony that landed on top of them, Rainbow Dash, quickly jumped up, awkwardly laughed a couple of times, and ran over to the speechless Twilight Sparkle to apologize. "Sorry. Let me wash you off." She then pulled over a cloud and squeezed out the water, instantly drenching both ponies, turning them into soaked chickens. Haha. It's like you just had a wash. Let me dry you off with my special technique. Rainbow Dash created a small whirlwind on the spot, and the water was quickly blown dry, although the style wasn't great, with a record of Dawn Melody stuck in Twilight Sparkle's mane. In fact, the previous whirlwind blew many records even further away. Oh, don't mention it. Ha 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 ha. Rainbow Dash and Spike laughed together. So I guess you're Rainbow Dash? That's right. You've heard of me. No, I'm here to inspect the celebration preparations. You should be cleaning the sky, Twilight Sparkle scolded. I'll clean it up after my training. Rainbow Dash said nonchalantly. What training? The Wonderbolts. They'll be performing at the celebration tomorrow, and I want to show them how awesome I am. Then I'll get invited to join them. Rainbow Dash said excitedly, spinning around about the Wonderbolts. Oh, come on. The most famous team wouldn't look at a pony who can't even clean the sky properly. Twilight Sparkle used a teasing method, and it worked excellently. What did you say? Do you believe I can clean this up in 10 seconds? Oh, really? Feeling underestimated, Rainbow Dash showed off, cleaning all the clouds in the sky within 10 seconds. I never let it be cloudy here, except before it rains. Rainbow Dash patted her hooves, but found that the faces of the pony and dragon beneath her showed little reaction. Actually, it's not necessary. Even though you blew these away, Dawn Melody said, placing the one-piece record into her saddlebag and switching to the recently picked record, with a lightning bolt icon appearing among the cute symbols. I can do it faster. Rainbow Dash's jaw dropped. It took you a while, Twilight. You have no idea how ridiculous it was where those records fell. I ran around Ponyville 3 times to find them, Dawn Melody said easily, then flicked the record. This excessive power caused her magic consumption to be quite large. 3 times. Rainbow Dash's jaw dropped to the ground. Then she shook her head. How is that possible? You must be lying. Whether I'm lying or not, you'll know when you experience it yourself. Just running for 3 seconds allowed her body to produce some speed force, and she decided to share it directly with Rainbow Dash. This speed force was enough for her to be the fastest for a second. The world before Rainbow Dash began to slow down. Her speed suddenly reached an unprecedented realm, and in an instant, she flew to the top of a distant mountain, then exited the speed state, even breaking the sound barrier like a needle without triggering a sonic boom. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Yunbao excitedly shouted at the top of the snowy mountain. I usually take 5 minutes to fly here. I must go find them to play. Saying this, Yunbao flew towards Ponyville. Twilight Sparkle nodded. She had the fortune to experience it once and ended up getting lost after going too far, exiting her speedster state in a place she didn't even know. It took Dawn Melody 5 hours to find her. Next was the internal decoration situation for the celebration. Suelong took out the list and said, they arrived at the grand hall of the celebration, which had already been decorated splendidly. It's really beautiful, Suelong exclaimed. The decorations here are quite nice, Twilight Sparkle remarked. Oh, I mean her. Suelong looked at the white pony in the center of the hall who was selecting ribbons. How do I look? Handsome? Dawn Melody didn't feel much, just thought the eye makeup was nice. Oh, this is very suitable. Adding some warm colors will make it cozy. Rarity decorated the ribbons at the venue. Good afternoon, Twilight Sparkle greeted. Good afternoon, I'm Rarity. How can I? Oh no. Rarity turned around and saw Twilight Sparkle's frizzy hair. Oh my gosh, how did your hair get like this? Rarity exclaimed, I can't let you go like this. Rarity said, intending to push Twilight Sparkle towards her boutique. I'm just here for an inspection, and I should be on my way, Twilight Sparkle protested. Oh, that's even worse. How can you meet ponies like this? Rarity pushed harder. Yeah, Twilight, you represent your teacher's reputation, Dawn Melody laughed. Oh, fine, I'll walk myself, Twilight Sparkle said, giving up resistance. In Rarity's boutique, Rarity was changing Twilight Sparkle into different outfits while chatting. So, dear, can you tell me where you came from? Rarity tightened Twilight Sparkle's strap. We are from Canterlot, Twilight Sparkle said with difficulty. Canterlot, Rarity exclaimed. Oh, you're so lucky. I've always dreamed of living there. It's so fashionable and trendy. You must tell me all about it. We will definitely become good friends. Perfect Ruby, Rarity said, looking at the outfit on Twilight Sparkle, satisfied, then turned to Dawn Melody. And you, dear, the celebration is about to start. I can't let you attend looking so plain. It would be such a waste of your figure. I think I have a dress that would match your saddlebag. Rarity ran inside to find a dress, while Dawn Melody didn't expect the chaos would affect her, quickly pulling Twilight Sparkle to escape. Let us hurry, we still have a lot to do. Dawn Melody dragged Twilight Sparkle away. Hey, I think you just don't want to be put in that dress. I am the face of a princess. If I wear a dress, I lose my face. Oh, she is just too beautiful. Wake up, big romantic. Hurry up and see where the next place is. Hey, where did they go? Let me see, it's music. And it's the last one. Perfect. Once we finish this, we'll go to the library, Twilight Sparkle said happily at that time. You two have to help me find it. I believe we will find it soon. Got it. As they gradually got closer, they heard birds singing not far away. A pink-maned yellow pony was conducting them. Stop. Shout I noticed that one of the voices was slightly off-key and said to a blue bird, Sorry, sir. You seem to be a bit out of sync. Sing along with me. Shout I sang a beautiful melody. Hello, Twilight Sparkle shouted. And the birds immediately flew away to a place they felt safe. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to scare them. I came to inspect the music. And they sound amazing. I'm Twilight Sparkle. What is your name? Twilight Sparkle said. I can't help but suspect you didn't do it on purpose. Dawn Melody said, with a flock of frightened birds perched on him, still rubbing against his face. Oh, it seems you are quite popular with the birds, Shout I said, feeling less nervous in front of a stranger for the first time. I'm Shout I. Wait, is that a dragon baby? Just as Shout I was introducing herself to Dawn Melody, Swailong popped out from the bushes. Shout I saw him and raised her voice a few pitches. Hello, dragon baby. What is your name? Oh, hi, Swailong, I'm Shout I. Oh, okay, we should go now. Ignored, Twilight Sparkle directly picked up Swailong and walked away, with Shout I following behind, asking questions all the way, while Dawn Melody also walked away with the reluctant birds. All right, the dragon baby is tired. He should sleep now. Twilight Sparkle refused Shout I, who wanted to follow in, then looked at Dawn Melody and said, Why are they still on you? I feel okay. In fact, it feels quite comfortable after a while. Dawn Melody said as a yellow bird emerged from his mane. Oh, sorry, I'll let them go. Shout I also noticed this. We can't keep bothering them. Shout I said somewhat displeased, but the birds chose to ignore her. I said we can't bother them. Shout I said, a bit angry, her expression turning serious. And the birds obediently left. Oh, very assertive, Dawn Melody said, making Shout I blush. All right, come here, we need to find books. Twilight Sparkle, feeling a bit jealous, pulled Dawn Melody inside and closed the door. You're so wild, jealous, Swailong said discontentedly. Because every pony here doesn't really understand basic distances. Twilight Sparkle complained, blushing, then fumbled around in the dark, whereas the light. Suddenly, the entire library lit up, and a crowd of ponies surrounded them, cheering. Oh my gosh, Twilight Sparkle said. Speechless. Surprise. I'm Pinkie Pie. This party is for you, a party just for you. You're not from Ponyville, right? Because I know all the ponies from Ponyville. But hey, you know what? I noticed when you greeted me that I hadn't seen you before. So every new pony arriving in Ponyville should have a welcome party. And that's why I threw a party to welcome you. Are you happy? And what are your names? Pinkie Pie rambled on. I'm Twilight Sparkle. P.S. Dawn Melody. And I think the library should be quiet, Twilight Sparkle said, not quite knowing how to handle such a forward pony. Oh, don't be silly. Quiet is, boring. Very boring. Pinkie Pie emphasized, then happily followed Twilight Sparkle. You know, when I saw you just arrived in Ponyville, I wanted to be friends with you. And now you'll have lots and lots of friends, just like us, standing together. Twilight Sparkle poured a bottle of chili oil into her mouth and instantly felt it hit her head, then ran away, leaving a group of bewildered ponies. Oh, she is so happy she is crying. Pinkie Pie wiped her tears. Swailong glanced at what Twilight Sparkle had just poured, chili sauce. The next moment, Pinkie Pie poured chili sauce on a cupcake and ate it. What are you doing? It's really delicious, Pinkie Pie said happily. Meanwhile, Dawn Melody was picked up by enthusiastic ponies as soon as he entered. His physique made him look particularly friendly in the eyes of the ponies. Soon the moon rose, but the party's excitement showed no signs of diminishing, and Dawn Melody had just finished dealing with all the enthusiastic ponies when he found a frantic Twilight Sparkle. Chapter 12, Nightmare Moon. Twilight, are you okay? Dawn Melody sat down next to Twilight Sparkle. Am I okay? Oh, of course I'm great. I actually thought I would have time to find evidence to prove myself, but I didn't. The little ponies in Ponyville are really crazy. Oh, listen to their laughter. It's everywhere. Twilight Sparkle complained. Tomorrow is the celebration, and the ponies won't sleep, or they won't see their mother raise the sun. Weren't you always keeping me up late studying at this time? Dawn Melody comforted, gently stroking Twilight Sparkle's head. I know. But this whole making friends thing is driving me crazy. These little ponies in Ponyville don't understand the basic concept of social distance at all. Twilight Sparkle relaxed a little under Dawn Melody's comfort, but her eyes still showed deep worry as she stared at the moon outside. What if Nightmare Moon isn't just a false legend? How are we supposed to deal with her? Twilight Sparkle lay down, feeling very low. Anyway, everything will be revealed tomorrow. You don't need to keep yourself so tense. Come on, sleep in my arms. I'll help block out the noise, and I'll wake you up before the celebration. Dawn Melody said. Twilight Sparkle jumped into Dawn Melody's arms, exclaiming, I really don't know how I would cope without you. Dawn Melody put ear muffs on Twilight Sparkle, and after casting a soundproofing spell, Twilight Sparkle fell into a deep sleep in Dawn Melody's arms, the overflow of Harmony's magic making her sleep especially sweet. "Hey, Dawn Melody." "Twilight Sparkle," Spike said as he entered, seeing Twilight Sparkle asleep in Dawn Melody's arms. "Is it nap time again?" "Yes, Spike. Do you need to sleep for a while? After all, you're still a baby dragon, and you need your rest," Dawn Melody asked. "Sleeping in your arms is indeed very comfortable. But today I have to party all night long, so I can't join you," Spike said calmly as he left and closed the door. Listening to the laughter outside, Dawn Melody couldn't help but look at the moon. He naturally knew that Twilight Sparkle was right. He was also worried that his presence would cause the story to deviate from the original version. "Forget it. Let's talk about everything tomorrow. Hurry up, you two. It's time to see the sunrise." Spike ran in to remind them. He woke Twilight Sparkle, and they all went to the celebration site together, where Spike was shaking with excitement. Soon, the opening music began under the direction of Fluttershy, and the mayor started her speech. The ponies cheered just a little longer, and we will see the magical sunrise, celebrating the longest day of the year. But before that, let me warmly welcome the wise and kind protector of Ponyville, Princess Celestia, who raises the sun and the moon for us to enjoy a harmonious life. As the cheers and music rang out, Rarity pulled back the curtain, but there was nothing behind it. "This is not good," Twilight Sparkle said worriedly, as the voices of suspicion among the ponies gradually arose. The mayor tried to calm everyone, but it didn't work. "Is she playing hide and seek?" "I'll go look," Spike said, diving behind the curtain, but finding nothing. "Oh, she's hiding really well." Suddenly, a blue-purple magic force pushed Rarity and Spike down, and Dawn Melody immediately caught them. More and more blue-purple magic gathered on stage, and a black light-headed alicorn appeared above. "Nightmare Moon," Twilight Sparkle exclaimed, her suspicions becoming reality, and Spike immediately fell asleep. "Oh, my dear subjects, I haven't seen your lovely little faces in over 1,000 years. Nightmare Moon laughed easily. "What have you done to our princess?" Rainbow Dash shouted as she charged forward, but Applejack bit her tail. "Why are you asking her? Are you not satisfied with just one princess?" Nightmare Moon mocked, and seeing that the ponies below did not react, she angrily questioned, "Doesn't any pony recognize me? Does my crown mean nothing? Perhaps you've heard of the legends?" Seeing that the ponies below still did not react, Nightmare Moon became even angrier, and at that moment, Twilight Sparkle stepped forward. "I know who you are. You are Nightmare Moon, the Moon Mare." "Oh great. Finally, a pony who recognizes me. Then you should know what I'm going to do. Are you really going to yes? From now on, forget your daytime, forget your sun, forget your cosmic princess. From now on, Ponyville will have only darkness and only one princess, me, Nightmare Moon." Nightmare Moon laughed loudly. "Capture her. She must know where the princess is." The mayor commanded the royal guards. The royal guards rushed forward but were easily repelled by Nightmare Moon and fell to the ground. After all these years, the royal guards are still a bunch of incompetent fools, Nightmare Moon mocked before disappearing. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash, held back by Applejack, could only watch as Nightmare Moon vanished into the horizon. Just then, she saw Twilight Sparkle running out of the town hall and thought she must know something. So she chased after her. The library must have a solution. Panicked Twilight Sparkle, carrying Spike as she hurried to the library. And Dawn Melody also followed after Rainbow Dash left. After exchanging glances, the four decided to follow as well. "We must stop her," Spike shouted as he woke up but quickly fell back asleep, just as Dawn Melody said. He was still just a baby dragon and needed his sleep. After settling Spike down, Twilight Sparkle entered the library hall and wanted to search for books about the elements of harmony, but found nothing after flipping through many. Elements of harmony, where are you?" Just then, Rainbow Dash burst in. "What are the elements of harmony? Tell me how you know Nightmare Moon. Are you a spy?" Rainbow Dash pressed closer. "Hey, calm down, Rainbow Dash. She's not a spy," Dawn Melody said as he caught up to stop her. "Then who are you? How do you know so much?" Rainbow Dash still pressed on. "Hey, Rainbow Dash, calm down. They're our friends, right? They're definitely not spies. But they must know something," Applejack, who had caught up, also persuaded. So the five of them looked at the two, and Twilight Sparkle confessed, "I do know Nightmare Moon. I saw her in a prophecy book. I shared my guess, but no pony believed me." "Oh, thank you," Twilight Sparkle said gratefully. "This will save us a lot of trouble." Twilight Sparkle continued. "The prophecy says that only something called the elements of harmony can defeat her. But I still don't know what that is or where it is." Elements of Harmony Reference Guide, Pinkie Pie read aloud from a book, and Twilight Sparkle hurried over to see the book. "How did you find it?" "I'm good at phonetics," Pinkie Pie replied. Twilight Sparkle quickly opened the book. There are 6 elements of harmony in total, but only 5 are known: kindness, optimism, generosity, honesty, and loyalty. The sixth element has not appeared for a long time, so no one knows what it is. The elements of harmony are located in the ancient castle of the royal pony sisters, and the ruins of the castle are. Twilight Sparkle read aloud. The Everfree Forest. Chapter 13. A Change, Defeating Nightmare Moon. The Everfree Forest. The five exclaimed, surprised at the forest. Let's go? Pinkie Pie bounced excitedly, but Twilight Sparkle stopped her. Listen, I really appreciate your help, but this matter should be handled by me and Dawn Melody, Twilight Sparkle said. Hey, don't even think about it. I said we're friends, and we'll stick to you like the sugar on a candied apple, Applejack said as she was about to walk inside. And the other ponies agreed and followed her. If there were candy apples, they definitely had to go. What is wrong with that? They're really delicious, Pinkie Pie said as she followed along. What is wrong, Twilight? Dawn Melody asked. I'm just a little worried something might happen, Twilight Sparkle sighed. Don't worry. I brought a lot of records. I believe they'll be enough to handle any danger, Dawn Melody comforted. I could even easily get you all to the castle right now. Suddenly, a sound tore through the air, and three shadowy Pegasi appeared. One of them kicked Dawn Melody hard, while the other two disappeared into the depths of the forest with their saddlebags. Dawn Melody. Twilight Sparkle quickly helped Dawn Melody up. Are you okay? I'm fine, just a bit of pain. I can heal it with magic, Dawn Melody said as she cast a restoration spell on herself. Hey, when Rainbow Dash saw this, she wanted to chase after them, but Applejack bit her tail. You can't just go after them alone. It's too dangerous. Rarity said to the impulsive Rainbow Dash. That's right. We have to act together from now on, Dawn Melody added as she finished healing herself. All right, but once he let them get away, Rainbow Dash had no choice but to give up. Have you all been here before? No. Because no pony knows what will happen here. I've heard that no pony can come out alive from here. Rainbow Dash made a strange motion that successfully scared several ponies. Just then, the ground beneath them suddenly collapsed, and several ponies fell while Rainbow Dash flew in the air. Oh, no, we have to hurry, Fluttershy. Rainbow Dash rushed down and successfully saved Rarity. Applejack bit onto a tree root. Dawn Melody didn't fall either. He took a detour to the bottom of the cliff while Twilight Sparkle rolled uncontrollably towards the edge of the cliff, and Applejack grabbed her just in time. Oh, Applejack. What should I do? Twilight Sparkle asked. Seeing that Rainbow Dash was ready below, Applejack said, Let go, trust me, it'll be okay. How can it possibly be okay? Trust me, it'll be okay. I would never joke about my friends' lives. Twilight Sparkle let go of her hooves and was caught by Rainbow Dash just in time. Hey, I caught you. Oh no, you're too slippery. The mud that Twilight Sparkle had just rolled in made Rainbow Dash lose her grip for a moment. Oh my gosh, Applejack exclaimed. It's okay, I caught you. Dawn Melody used magic to catch the falling Twilight Sparkle when he arrived below. Then, just like in the original story, Fluttershy used kindness to pacify the scorpion-tailed lion blocking their way. Pinkie Pie drove away fear with optimism, and Rarity helped a dragon with generosity to cross the river. Finally, they arrived at the castle, with just a cliff separating them. Hey, why do you suddenly want to jump off a cliff today? How are we going to get across? Applejack looked at the broken bridge. Oh hey, the bridge isn't broken. The rope just snapped. Watch me. Rainbow Dash discovered the clue, flew down to pull the rope up, and tied it on the other side. Just as she was tying the other rope, three ponies came in. Wait, it's you. Rainbow Dash said fiercely. Oh, Rainbow Dash, we specially came to invite you, the best flyer, to join our Shadow Pegasus team, the lead pony tempted. You wish. You hurt my friend and stole her things. Don't make me teach you a lesson before tying this rope. Get out of my sight. Rainbow Dash shouted angrily. All right, this is your choice. The three ponies disappeared into the darkness. Rainbow Dash tied the rope and rejoined her friends. See, I'm always the most loyal to my friends, Rainbow Dash said with a smile. Thank you, Rainbow Dash, but there's no time to waste. Let us hurry. The ponies quickly went onto the bridge. However, suddenly, many blue vines reached out from the bottom of the cliff, tightly binding the seven ponies and trying to pull them down. The other ponies struggled but couldn't break free, and just as they were about to be dragged into the cliff, Dawn Melody steeled himself. His magical glow lit up the other ponies one by one, and they were directly teleported to the other side of the cliff, while Dawn Melody was dragged down by the vines. Dawn Melody, no? Twilight Sparkle looked at the bottomless cliff, her heart heavy. She gave us hope. We can't waste her sacrifice, Twilight. We have to find the element of harmony quickly to defeat Nightmare Moon. Applejack came up to comfort her. I know. I have to make her pay, Twilight Sparkle said angrily, and with a heavy heart, they headed towards the castle. Meanwhile, when Dawn Melody was just dragged down, the vines transformed into a magical force and ran away, while he used the last bit of his magic to suspend himself and avoid falling damage. At the bottom of the valley, he saw something familiar. "Hey, my saddlebags. Nightmare Moon actually threw it here." Dawn Melody exclaimed with joy, but then he felt downcast. His magic was exhausted, and borrowing power again would make him faint. He put on the saddlebags, checked the records, and found that many had been shattered. Sigh. The records are still too fragile. Dawn Melody cleared out the fragments and put the intact records away when suddenly, he felt something calling to him from a distance. Dawn Melody felt his way in the dark to that place, and then he saw the Tree of Harmony. "So it's you. How did you end up here?" Dawn Melody recognized this strange tree that had shaped his body. "Friendship is magic," Twilight Sparkle shouted, and the 6 ponies floated in the air, using the rainbow cannon to blast at Nightmare Moon. No, Nightmare Moon also used all her power to unleash her magic, and the two forces clashed, surprisingly able to hold their ground against each other. With a flash of light, Nightmare Moon was not defeated, but the 6 ponies were already exhausted. "Oh, I never expected that I would be strong enough to resist the element of harmony. This world will never have daytime again, huh?" Nightmare Moon laughed triumphantly, leaving only despair for the 6. "How could this happen?" Dawn Melody exclaimed anxiously. "I have to help them. I must get over there. Tree, you have to help me." The Tree of Harmony shot out a beam of light, and before Dawn Melody appeared the scene of when he first arrived in the pony world. The 6 elements of harmony split their power to create a new element of harmony, and that element was within his soul. Its name was in an instant. The magic of the element of harmony filled his entire being. He took out a record, although the lightning bolt record was broken. Thankfully, there were other alternatives. Crimson Limit began to play slowly, and Dawn Melody bowed to the Tree of Harmony. "Thank you for your help, great tree, and now, I need to go help my friends," Dawn Melody said, transforming into a stream of light and rushing up from the cliff like a shooting star. "Although you are no longer a threat, I won't leave you behind," Nightmare Moon said proudly, "but I admire your spirit. Speak your last words, and then I will let you die without pain." "Hey, friends, I'm glad to be with you before I die," Twilight Sparkle said, her eyes dimming. "But I have let Dawn Melody's sacrifice down. It's not your fault, Twilight. You've done your best. Dawn Melody would be proud of you," Applejack said. "It's okay. I believe we will still be the best of friends after we die." "Oh, thank you all." The 6 ponies embraced each other. "It seems this is your last words. Don't worry, I want to remember you. Ha, now go die?" Nightmare Moon unleashed a powerful spell, and the 6 ponies closed their eyes. "Hey, everyone, don't give up hope. Twilight Sparkle, keep your determination." The sound of the Dawn Melody echoed, and in the Crimson Limit mode, he immunized the magical damage from the Nightmare Moon with his kinetic coating. "Dawn Melody, that's great, you're okay? What's that around your neck?" Twilight Sparkle said happily, noticing the Harmony gem around his neck. "I understand now. Nightmare Moon, you were wrong again. The reason we couldn't defeat you was that the power of the Harmony gems was incomplete. Without the help of any one of our friends, we couldn't defeat you. But now we are united." Twilight Sparkle shouted at Nightmare Moon, regaining strength through the transmission of hope. "That's right, Twilight." Dawn Melody played the Crimson Limit and inserted the Harmony gem. As the music played, the power of the 6 Harmony gems within Dawn Melody resonated with the Harmony gem. "Let us regain beauty." The patience emerged from Rarity's heart. "Let us always be joyful." The courage emerged from Pinkie Pie's heart. "Let us always have hope." The perseverance emerged from Dawn Melody's heart. "Let us, from Twilight Sparkle's heart, have determination. Forever united as one. Friendship is magic." The powerful 7-colored rainbow was launched, and Nightmare Moon, thinking she could counter with magic like before, found herself unable to even move her wings due to the overwhelming sense of stagnation. Helplessly watching the friendship cannon wrap around her, a huge light flashed, the moon descended, and the sun rose. Chapter 14. Reunion, Subsequent Developments, and Plans. Celestia appeared before the ponies as the sunlight shone upon her, and they all bowed. "Princess Celestia," Twilight Sparkle said happily, running over to hug her. "I'm so glad you're okay, teacher." "Me too, Twilight, my most loyal student. I'm glad you took my task seriously and learned the true meaning of friendship," Celestia said. "I always knew the arrival of Nightmare Moon was imminent, but I also knew that only you could defeat her." "Me?" Twilight Sparkle asked. "Yes, your magical power is immense. But this power can only be used when you learn the value of friendship. At the same time, I hope she can learn her lesson." "Princess Luna." Celestia approached the armor that had been shattered on the Moon Princess. "I haven't seen you like this in 1,000 years." Luna was now drained of magic, her hair not flowing with the magic like when she was Nightmare Moon. She looked at Celestia approaching, feeling guilty and unable to meet her gaze. "I hope you can put our past grievances behind us and rule this kingdom with me again, my sister." Celestia squatted down, inviting her sister while also expressing forgiveness. I'm sorry, sister. I miss you so much. Luna cried as she threw herself into Celestia's embrace. Oh, what a joyful reunion, Dawn Melody said with a hint of joy. I quite like it. Hey, come here, you little one. Celestia magically pulled Dawn Melody over. I'm so glad to see you awaken the power within you, bringing hope to them. And this moment of reunion should also include you, my son. Son, how is he 6? Oh, and Princess Luna, I accidentally overlooked that. How do you have a son? What have you been doing for the 1,000 years I was gone? Luna asked incredulously. Hey, kid, you should call me Auntie now. Hi, Auntie. Meanwhile, Twilight Sparkle thought, when the princess said that the reunion included him, she thought he was a princess, but he turned out to be a prince. Rarity exclaimed, but she still thought he could be her model. She was sure he'd look best in a dress. Oh, I thought he was a cool filly like me. But now it seems the coolest filly is still me, Rainbow Dash said proudly. But it surprised the ponies. Clearly, he looked like a filly in every way. But he was actually a colt. Applejack felt the world was a bit surreal. Hey, do you know what should be happening now? Pinkie Pie shouted in the middle. There should be a grand party. Twilight Sparkle looked at the celebration but suddenly felt sad, and Celestia keenly noticed this, so she deliberately said, I don't know, Princess Celestia. I feel like I don't want to leave here. I just experienced the joy of having so many friendships. Twilight Sparkle conflicted. I understand, Starlight. Celestia called for Starlight to prepare paper and pen. I hereby decree that Twilight Sparkle shall reside in Ponyville from today onward to study the magic of friendship. But she must write letters regularly. Twilight Sparkle was happily surrounded by friends. What? Twilight Sparkle was stunned, and at the same time, Dawn Melody accidentally choked on the cake he was eating. Oh, right, he is your son, so he can't. Twilight Sparkle was on the verge of tears. Unless he admits that he can't bear the friendships he gained here, Celestia said. Dawn Melody looked at Twilight Sparkle with hopeful eyes, making him feel uneasy. You really want me to say such mushy words, don't you? Dawn Melody compromised. Okay. I can't bear the friendships I gained in Ponyville. Got it. I have a portable portal. Dawn Melody said he understood. After the party ended, Rarity said, Hey, this day has really worn me out. Look at my hooves. They're dirty and rough. Let's go to the spa and relax. Good idea. I'll join you this time. But I don't want to get my hooves done. I feel like I need some pampering too. Do they serve cake there? Maybe I can use frosting on my face. I haven't been there with friends yet. Well, I'll go take care of my business first. Hey, wait, put me down. I can walk. The 6 ponies said nothing and simply lifted Dawn Melody toward the spa. But it felt a bit wasteful to let it gather dust. If the equipment wasn't used, it would surely break down quickly, and many of these instruments were too delicate for regular ponies to maintain, potentially damaging them. However, he thought of a friend. Knock, knock, knock. Dawn Melody knocked on the door of Moondance's house, and after a series of clinking sounds, the door opened. Hey, good afternoon, Moondance. Dawn Melody greeted, only to find her spirit seemed a bit off. What's wrong? Nothing. What brings you here? Moondance, with slightly messy hair, denied it and countered with a question. Oh, there's something I want to ask you. Dawn Melody explained that he had been appointed as the royal envoy and would be living in Ponyville from now on. So you're leaving too? Moondance's mood was low. I understand. I mean, you're a really good friend. Moondance suddenly became excited. Thank you. Oh, by the way, this is for you. Dawn Melody took out a pair of glasses. What is this? Moondance asked in confusion. These can be used with a device in the lab. They can read knowledge from books and interpret it in the glasses, which is very useful for learning. I made one for you and Twilight Sparkle. But Minnie and the others aren't really interested in these, so I gave them something else. Dawn Melody explained. Moondance frowned when she heard Twilight Sparkle's name, but didn't show it in front of Dawn Melody. She calmed down and said, Thank you, Dawn Melody. You're really a better friend than some ponies. Dawn Melody wanted to ask which ponies, but Moondance remained silent. So he took her to the lab to get familiar with it and showed her his books. I have backups of all the books, so I won't be taking them with me. You can always take them out to read. It's fine, and the bookshelf has an automatic sorting feature. Dawn Melody simply tapped twice, then activated the portal to drag the items away. Upon returning to Ponyville, Dawn Melody placed the items outside and took out a record to put into the cute emblem, causing a grass block to appear inside. Dawn Melody took out a diamond pickaxe and entered his bedroom. It was time to start construction. Chapter 15, The New House in the Ruins. Whose ticket falls to whom Dawn Melody simply dug out a space under the treehouse and reinforced it with quartz blocks. He stored the items inside. With the entrance located in his bedroom, he created an active secret door that required pushing a cup of water, then taking a history book from the bookshelf, and finally turning on the lamp by the bedside to activate the mechanism. Although he knew this wouldn't work on Pinkie Pie, if they all came looking for him, it must mean something important, right? Not rushing to continue expanding the underground laboratory, Dawn Melody first headed to the town hall to handle the most important matters. Mayor? Dawn Melody entered the office and said, "Oh." The mayor, who was dealing with the follow-up affairs of the celebration, stood up to greet Dawn Melody. "Prince, what can I do for you?" "Understood, but is she your mother?" "Got it." The mayor didn't ask further, but a sad story unfolded in her heart. The mayor took Dawn Melody to the archives room, which contained the records of all the residents of Ponyville. Dawn Melody searched for a long time and finally found her name on a missing persons list that recorded a mysterious disappearance 30 years ago. "I see, thank you." After expressing his gratitude, Dawn Melody headed to the address above. Dawn Melody climbed the mountain, and a small house appeared before him. The house, uninhabited for 30 years, seemed to have lost its color. Cough, cough, cough. Dawn Melody choked a bit before walking inside. The interior of the house was very simple. Aside from some peeling paint and dust, the arrangement of items indicated that his mother must have loved photography. And then there were signs that she sang in the wind on the mountain every day. Dawn Melody picked up a photo, brushed off the dust. And although he hadn't seen it in over a decade, he recognized it at a glance. Taking a deep breath while looking at the shabby state of the house, Dawn Melody used magic to envelop the entire house, and everything inside was instantly rejuvenated. Equivalent exchange magic for renewal. Dawn Melody couldn't turn back time for the whole house to 30 years ago, so he could only renovate it directly. All the dust was cleared out. And looking at the overgrown garden, Dawn Melody used magic to pull out the weeds one by one, then planted lilies and chrysanthemums. Then, accompanied by the song from the cute emblem, Dawn Melody buried his mother's ashes in her garden. Dawn Melody began moving the mirror connecting to the Marvel Universe, preparing to place it in the library's basement. He spent 2 weeks planning and finally completed the overall construction of the laboratory, dedicating one area specifically as the World Transfer Zone. All the equipment and instruments were either ordered from the Marvel Universe or made from materials he bought. However, it must be said that PIM particles were much more convenient than shrinking magic. After all, shrinking magic couldn't last indefinitely. It could be said that the magic in the pony world adhered to the principle of equivalent exchange. He also sneakily observed how to obtain PIM particles and thoroughly learned the technique while remaining invisible and using thermal interference. They didn't notice him at all. Now, as long as the mirror was embedded in the wall, the overall setup would be complete. Suddenly, Pinkie Pie jumped out. "Dawn Melody, quickly put down that magical mirror that connects to other worlds. I need your help right now," Pinkie Pie shouted. At that moment, Rainbow Dash also bumped into Dawn Melody. But fortunately, he protected the mirror. "Oh, I finally found you. We must be good friends, right?" Rainbow Dash shouted. "Hey, I got here first," Pinkie Pie yelled. "There's no such thing as first come, first served." "Oh, found you, dear. You need to help me. I have to go find my prince there. I want to sell my apples there. I just want to see the garden there." Watching the sudden chaos with 5 ponies running over, Dawn Melody looked bewildered. Also, "Pinkie Pie, I shouldn't have told Twilight Sparkle about the other ponies, and Twilight Sparkle probably wouldn't have blurted it out either. Stop right there." So, Celestia sent a letter inviting Twilight Sparkle and me to the running of the Leaves celebration. And then there was an extra ticket, right? Dawn Melody organized his thoughts. The 5 ponies nodded obediently. And then Twilight said she couldn't decide this alone. "So she sent you all to find me, right?" Dawn Melody asked again. They nodded together again, secretly blaming Twilight Sparkle for dumping the mess on him, and Celestia for her deliberate actions. He sighed and said, "But have you thought about what kind of outcome this endless arguing will cause? There's only one ticket, and in the end, only one pony can get it. Those who don't get it will be very disappointed, right?" All 5 ponies felt ashamed. And Twilight, she just started learning about friendship. She wouldn't want each of you to feel disappointed. You are putting a lot of pressure on her. "I was wrong. I don't want the ticket anymore." Applejack said, "Me neither. It's not fun to make friends sad." Pinkie Pie also said sadly, but then perked up. "But we can throw a party to apologize to Twilight, can't we? You do owe her an apology, but as for the party, let us skip it. The tickets for the running of the Leaves celebration, I will help each of you get one." Dawn Melody said calmly. "Really? That is so cool." Rainbow Dash soared into the air. "Will it be, too much trouble for you?" Fluttershy hesitated a bit. "No, if I have the ability and the authority, why not use it? And you are my friends, aren't you?" Dawn Melody replied. "Oh, thank you, dear. I will prepare our dresses for the celebration well." Rarity hugged Dawn Melody in gratitude. "No need to thank me. You all go apologize to Twilight first. Just so happens I just moved this over from Canterlot. We can go together." Dawn Melody lifted the mirror. In the library, Twilight Sparkle had finally filled her stomach and then heard Applejack and the others' voices. "Oh no. What should I do?" Twilight Sparkle was very nervous at that moment. "Hey, Twilight, we're here. I told you, one pony can't decide this. Don't come looking for me again." Twilight Sparkle shouted in frustration. Actually, We already found Dawn Melody. Applejack said. Dear, we're here to apologize to you. Rarity added. Oh, I'm sorry. I won't do things that make my friends sad anymore. Wah. Pinkie Pie exaggeratedly said. I hope we won't put pressure on you anymore. Fluttershy said softly. But Dawn Melody will get us tickets. I can show them my skills. Rainbow Dash exclaimed happily. Everyone glared at her, and she quickly realized what she was supposed to be doing. Oh, sorry, I got too excited. I shouldn't have put pressure on you like that, Twilight. Hey, what is going on with you all? Twilight Sparkle still hadn't reacted to their change. Because I just taught them a lesson. Dawn Melody walked in with the mirror. I never expected you would just dump this on me without letting me know. Haha, sorry. It's just that I really didn't know what to do. Twilight Sparkle said shyly. You could have asked your mom for more tickets. You know her personality, right? Spike, help me write a letter. Dawn Melody lectured Twilight Sparkle again and then instructed Spike. Glad to help. Spike took out a pen and paper. Good day, Mom. Dawn Melody symbolically expressed her politeness. I strongly condemn your reckless testing of the friendship with the newcomers. You should be sorry for this. Suelong almost dropped her pen. Wait, this is a test. Twilight Sparkle exclaimed. Of course, Mom would never do something so inconsiderate unless she did it on purpose, Dawn Melody casually replied. Oh no. I handed the question over to you. This means I didn't pass the teacher's test. Twilight Sparkle broke down. Relax, Chui. It's precisely because this is a test that I would speak to Mom this way, because this test is not just about you, but also about them. Dawn Melody looked at the five of them, who awkwardly fidgeted, as they had indeed just fallen into this situation. But true friendship should never be tested, at least. It shouldn't be tested intentionally. Dawn Melody said, when you try to test the hardness of glass, it has already broken. That's true, so I'm here to apologize, kids. Celestia's figure suddenly appeared. Teacher, what are you doing here? Twilight Sparkle exclaimed in shock. Just as Dawn Melody said, I was focused on teaching you a lesson. But I never considered what consequences this test would bring. Celestia said with guilt, I was indeed biased in doing this. I'm sorry, can you forgive me? Of course. Your Highness, after all, we did learn a lesson. They expressed their understanding. It seems you taught me a lesson in this regard too, son. Here are your tickets. I look forward to your performance at the celebration. The princess winked and then disappeared. I could never imagine the princess would apologize to us, Applejack murmured. Come on. This is what I promised. Dawn Melody distributed the tickets to everyone. This is yours. Suelong. Dawn Melody handed him the ticket. I have one too. Suelong exclaimed in surprise. I even said that excluding the extra one would be enough, but I ended up with 5. It turns out 1 was for me. Of course, you're our friend too, right? Dawn Melody said. Good brother. Suelong gave Dawn Melody a big hug.